Plan for Workforce and Economic Development Division, and an update on workforce data and outcomes. Chancellor.
Thank you, President Baum, members of the board. It is a pleasure to introduce the group before you to talk about this item. I'm going to turn it over to Vaughn and let her introduce her colleagues. Vaughn?
Thank you, Chancellor Harris, President Baum, and Vice President Estolano, and the members of the board. Delighted to be here as your Vice Chancellor for Workforce and Economic Development. Today we are pairing two topics together because when you talk about workforce, it's highly, there's an interrelationship with accountability and accountability with workforce. So the two really are well paired together. Today I am co-presenting with some guests. Here you have Alice Van Omeren, our Director of Research, and Kathy Booth, who's a Senior Researcher with WestEd. They are going to join me in the presentation on workforce data and outcomes and our progress against delivering on these recommendations in the Strong Workforce Task Force. And then we will end with Deborah Jones, who's our director in my division, to ask your approval on the annual expenditure plan. So this is a step that we take every year, and we're hoping to spice it up by adding the workforce data and outcomes part of the presentation. So if you can join me via your slides, they look like those, because we're going to have some screenshots, and they may be a little bit easier to read via slides. So as you know, the legislature and the governor's office began seeing the true value of these workforce programs, our career technical education program, because they started seeing this type of data, like earning power of our graduates who come out of our career technical education. And they saw the potential to put food on the table as strategies out of poverty through these programs. They wanted more. They wanted more career technical education. They wanted more better career technical education. And you got ahead of the curve by commissioning the Strong Workforce Task Force last year to really look at the policies and strategies to close the gap on 1 million more, we call these sub-baccalaureate credentials, so higher than a high school degree, but less than a bachelor's degree. So the associate's degrees, certificates, and industry-valued credentials. And as a result, you adopted in the November of last year 25 recommendations that we've begun work at different stages in terms of implementation. Items 4 through 6 are focused on workforce data and outcome. And so what we wanted to share with you is a quick status update on where we are in these items. And as I mentioned last time, you can always see the full update via the web. It's all posted on there. So let me just highlight a few. We have a number of items. All these items have begun and are in different stage of either they're work in progress because you're carrying bills, or they are administratively in progress. And we have a hierarchy in terms of action. So if we can do it administratively, we are pursuing that. And if it takes regulation, we're working on bringing regulations to you. If it takes budget action, you took some of that work with the $200 million request late last year. And then most complex is, of course, legislative action, which we have 2 bills underway. So what you see here is the items 4A, B, C, 5A, and 6. And these are the range of data actions that you've asked, thanks to the Strong Workforce Task Force, on how to make our data and outcomes much more responsive so that community colleges can continuously improve their workforce portfolio. So the check marks now recognize, as of about a week and a half ago, a significant milestone that was made, which is the completion of 4B, and then accompanying that is also 4C, which reports out on the demographics. So let me turn it over to our guests to the left, and they're going to talk about what we've done to improve the Student Success Scorecard to reflect the full array of workforce outcomes, and then in rolling out data tools so that colleges continuously improve the CTE portfolio on their campus and within their region.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, as mentioned, we've already started working on implementing some of these recommendations that Vaughn talked about, including expanding the definitions of the student success in the scorecard. See, what you're seeing here is a screenshot of the scorecard. So the scorecard is our accountability framework for the California community colleges. This is basically to provide stakeholders information on how students progress and achieve success in our system. It's a standardized report. And to do that, there's some characteristics that we use with all the metrics in this accountability framework. We try to use first-time students. We try to use cohorts. We use course-taking behavior to determine what students' goals are. So those are some of the characteristics of it. So the newest metric on the scorecard, the next scorecard will actually be released on March 30th, will be to capture students that are taking a couple courses, so just a few CTE courses in the system, and then leave without receiving traditional outcomes. So they take a few courses and they don't get a certificate necessarily or an award as other students would. And so these are called career skills builders. And so we've defined these students as students that are seeking or maintaining additional skill sets while they're already working in the field. So the outcomes for these skills builders are being captured by the change in earnings. So we do a match with wage data, and we're able to see if students have a certain income before they start the coursework versus after they complete the coursework. And that change is called the median earnings change. And we're seeing that with Skills Builder, there's an increase of about 14%. We're able, like I said, we use cohorts to capture these students, and this particular cohort captures about 86,000 students in our system. Additionally, so we've been able to reclassify these students from failures to successes by including this metric into the scorecard. This is actually a screenshot of the scorecard, which you'll see when it gets released on March 30th, and specifically kind of a screenshot of the Skills Builder metric. So you see a series of metrics on the tabs on the top of that scorecard there, that dashboard. And the two metrics on the right are the CTE metrics. So the one on the right is the Skills Builder metric that I just talked about, the non-completers. And then also, there's also a completion metric that we use for CTE as well. So basically, the 13.6% that you're seeing there is basically kind of rounded up to 14% change, the median percent change in wages that you see. We don't actually use wages to capture this because percent change, again, we're trying to standardize it for all 113, 112 colleges in the system. And instead of putting wages in there, we use the percent change in the wages before and after. What you're seeing there also is the students, what kind of programs that they're in. And so we're displaying on the scorecard the top 10 most popular skills builder metric for either the state or depending on a college. And so you'll be able to see the percent change for each of the different programs in the field. So I'm going to pass it over now to Kathy, who's going to talk a little bit about some other recommendations related to access and use that have already been implemented.
So one of the things that's important to understand as we talk about CTE data is that the Doing What Matters framework is asking colleges to really expand their definition of what it means for students to succeed. So in addition to looking at what's happening at the classroom level or the college level, they're expected to look at information at the regional level and at the sector level. So they not only need to know, are the students mastering the skills in the moment, but are they mastering the skills that employers are looking for? Do they know what kind of jobs are available in their region that map to the programs that they're offering? They need to know whether students are getting jobs, whether they're making more money, and they need to understand that whether or not the student completes a certificate or a degree, because as you've just heard, there's 1 in 4 of our exiting CTE students are falling into this category of skills builders because they are incumbent workers who are, in many cases, repeat customers coming back to community colleges to build the skills that they need. So one of the things that the field asked for that showed up in the task force recommendation was more information to help them be successful in this. They know they need to do it. They know their students may be attending multiple colleges in order to complete a pathway that they're in and out, but they had no data to prove it. And that's because we had to start linking together data from other sources and showing information to people in ways that hadn't been the standard, so that you could see what your student was doing within the entire region and not just in your institution, or to have labor market data or earnings data. So the Chancellor's Office has really led the country in making these connections and making this information publicly available. So you've had Data Mart, which has been available for a very long time, so anyone can get on and see the outcomes of students at various colleges. You've got the Salary Surfer, which shows how much more money graduates of specific programs are making and how it compares to their pre-wages, and all of these things are very powerful tools. However, the system needs even more tools to be able to get this information in all the different formats that are necessary to move forward with doing what matters. And there's also another fundamental shift that needs to happen. So historically, the information has been provided in a way that's useful for researchers, because the institutional research officers would take the information and they'd put it into statistical software and they'd run analyses and create presentations and sort of information that could help the colleges with decision making. But we're now at a place where we need everyone in the institution to understand what's happening to their students. We need counselors to know this, and faculty and deans. And we can't expect the research offices to be going and pulling together information from all these different sources to create the reports. So that's where the Chancellor's Office has invested in some additional tools that are there to support colleges through this process. So there's the amendment to the scorecard that represents a broader definition of success. There's the launch board, which is a new data system that is available to every single person who works at a community college, that cuts the data in alignment with the Doing What Matters framework, so by region and sector in addition to college and program. And then there's a whole suite of resources that are being brought out to the field to help people actually be able to do something with that information. So this suite of resources is called CTE Data Unlocked, and the tagline is find it, understand it, use it. Because those were the major problems that were articulated by the field in all of those meetings that led up to the task force recommendations. So under CTE Data Unlocked, there's a lot of different resources that are now going to be available to every California community college. So there's tools like the launch board, there's training to make sure that people know how to use them, there's technical assistance, which gets right down at the college level and helps people move from what's on their screen to what they actually are doing in the process of creating those accreditation reports or doing program review or engaging in planning, and also funding to help them with some of those critical tasks that they need to do. And this work is going to feed into two different planning processes. One is that with that $200 million in new CTE funding that we're hoping is going to be there next year, we need colleges to work together as regions to figure out how to spend those funds so they really move forward students' ability to be ready for the jobs that are available in their regions. And we need to help them integrate that into what they do locally, because of course everything regional is based on what happens on the ground in the colleges. So that's what CTE Data Unlocked is doing. So I would really love to have like 2 hours of your time to scroll you through all these tools, because there's so much good work that community colleges are doing. But Vaughn said I could only have a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to give you just a couple of snapshots so you have ideas about the kind of information that's available. So what's up on your screen right now is the Salary Surfer, and this is a fabulous tool for counselors that are helping students understand what outcomes they might get related to salaries depending on the major they select. So I've highlighted here water and wastewater technology, and you could show this to students and say you could make more than $80,000 a year if you go into this field, and there's a lot of demand because most of the wastewater specialists are retiring, and you could make twice as much as if you went into welding, where you'd only make $40,000 more. So this is a great place to start, but colleges need more, because this is statewide averages, and salaries are very different in the Central Valley and in Silicon Valley. So let's flip over to the next slide, and here you can see one of the things that are available in the launch board. So everything is designed in a simple question and answer format, so you don't have to be a data geek to be able to find the information. So one of the first things that colleges really need to know about their programs to evaluate their effectiveness is to look at whether their students are able to get jobs. Because if they're training towards skills that aren't valued, or if they're training toward jobs that have left their region, their students are not going to be employed. So what this chart answers is this question of how many completers and how many skills builders have gotten jobs, because they're different populations, they're different pathways, and they often have different outcomes. And what this chart's showing you is that the numbers are very similar, both for initially getting a job and staying in a job by the end of the first year. So colleges can use that to understand that in some ways there's real comparability between these two pathways. Go ahead and move to the next one. This next question answers the issue of how much more money are students making. So a faculty member could go in and look at how much money skills builders and completers made before they started. They started at pretty much the same place, but in this case, the skills builders are doing better than the completers. That's a really interesting data point to have and can lead to some very rich conversations about what's going on. Are they working with a lot of incumbent workers? Should they be focusing more on that short-term training? There's a lot of ways that they could take this information and work both with faculty and employers and students to figure out how to make those outcomes stronger for the completers as well as the skills builders. Do you have a question?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is this for a particular field, this particular chart, or is this for a school?
You
or
were
college?
looking at a college and a program.
Okay, and
So
the
I believe
program
this is accounting, and actually I think I pulled this for the Sacramento region. So you can cut it by college or by region. You can cut it by program, like accounting, or you cut it by sector. So that, for example, health is a sector or advanced manufacturing, so that people can get a lot of information about those results.
And this is available to the public?
It is not available to the public. It is available behind a firewall to the colleges, and there's a reason for that. So you've got the scorecard, which is giving you the high-level information that everybody needs to know, which is our students completing and our skills builders doing better for earnings. There's a lot of nuance. There's more than 100 metrics in this tool, which is why I would love 2 hours of your time. But we don't want that getting out in an unnuanced fashion, and the next chart will actually show you why. So this is looking at the question of how many students are making a living wage. So we want to do more than have colleges think about our students making more money. We want to know if they're making enough money. So in this program, 80% of students made it to a living wage, and that's great news. But in other programs like early childhood education, odds are you're only going to have a quarter of students. So somebody could come in and say, let's get rid of that program. But we know that, first of all, our society needs people to take care of our young children. And secondly, this may be the most viable career pathway for a young single mother because she can run a daycare facility out of her own home, and then you can look at a stackable pathway that'll get her to a living wage. So as you can see, there's lots of nuance, lots of great things that come out of these data tools, and with all of this, the support being provided to colleges, they're more likely to be able to use it to improve their programs. Oh, and this is just, we also have detailed data tables because people want information. So all of these factors, you're looking at a bunch of employment data, can be disaggregated by 20 different student characteristics. Colleges can also look at whether these figures are changing over time. They can view their figures in comparison to regional averages, and they can compare them to statewide averages, which will help with benchmarking.
Can I ask some questions? Can we go back one slide? So I'm trying to understand. So I'm actually on your Salary Surfer online right now, so I have it up and I'm looking at it. And so when I look at this, I'm trying to understand 2 years before, 2 years after. How are we get to that data again? I missed that piece.
Do you want to explain that, Alice?
So we do an annual match with EDD. So we get wage data on all the students that have SSNs, and so we do a match. And so we can get their
Federal UI wage data. And we match it up with Social Security numbers. So these are hard comparisons, apples to apples. So what you see on Salary Surfer is a pretty good representation.
And at what point are we tracking them? At the point they complete? Or, I mean, how do we get to a sense of...
The Salary Surfer are all completers, so they've earned an award. And so we just track their wages 2 years before, and we get quarterly wages. So every quarter we can see people's wages, and then we just calculate it,
Okay.
depending on what type of program they graduated.
And then in the launch board, it's made more broad. It doesn't just look at completers. So you're looking at both completers and skills builders within the data sets.
Do we have the resources to take this information out into the field where you and your colleagues would be working, let's say, with those counselors to give them the tools to how to use this? Because having the tool and then implementing the tool, oftentimes there's a big gap. I was just curious, do you go out in the field, for instance, or your colleagues go out in the field and help these counselors understand how to use this information?
Yes, there's an enormous 18-month effort to do that. So right now, every single Friday, our teams are out doing training in one of the regions of the state to introduce people to the tools. Then every college is eligible for $50,000 in funding and 10 hours of free technical assistance to support with the integration of these tools into their processes. And then we're developing a whole suite of resources that say things like, you're in the middle of program review, you're trying to understand where to find the answer to this question. this is where you look, this is how you find it, this is what you need to know about it, and those will be available in guides, in animated PowerPoints, in 2-minute videos, and in an online course so that we can reach people at whatever level of depth they want to engage the content.
Let me answer that because under a different strong workforce implementation, it's about how do you get these tools into the hand of students and their family and their community. And so we had gotten a grant from the Kellogg Foundation and are working on a mobile salary surfer, testing it first in the Inland Empire to see whether or not we can bring this type of data in a more user-friendly way to the younger population. So we're going to work on all these different aspects.
Go ahead, Vice President Solano.
So back to the skills builder versus the salary surfer data. Is that, so along with the Doing What Matters task force recommendations, is that data also going to be made available to, say, WIBs, to regional collaboratives who are looking at investments in workforce development? Is that sort of the next generation?
Yes, it is on the radar. We wanted to use this year to get our colleges ready first to know their data. And of course, all these partners can access it through their colleges. And then looking at Launchboard 3.0, we need to look at what are the features, functionalities that our partners want. And that is also in the strong workforce recommendation.
So this is all background to help us make a decision on whether to approve the annual expenditure plan. So do you want to take us to that?
Yes, so, all right, let me move through.
Oh, okay.
So additionally to all this these work that we've been doing to administratively implement, you have Senate Bill 66 LEVA, which is going to carry forth some of the legislative actions that are required in order to implement some of these task force recommendations. And so part and parcel of the whole package that's coming before you, Vice Chancellor Stewart is carrying LEVA, Senate Bill 66, Assembly Bill 1892, which is fixing the vocational education financial aid package. You have Vice Chancellor Troy taking forth the $200 million in budget action so that these programs can be funded. Let's say they see a change in the portfolio that needs new programming or retooling. Colleges need a way to actually finance those changes. And then Vice Chancellor Walker will be taking, hopefully, the standalone course approval regulation before you in May. So as we keep moving along in implementation, we're going to have more items batched up.
I'm sorry, Vice Chancellor, can you remind us what the standalone course approval regulation is?
Yes, it's the ability for courses to for colleges to proceed in offering new courses as they await the course approval process. Okay.
So, and before we get started, I did see Member Khan had his hand up.
I actually just had a question for data acquisition. So the data that you're aggregating for students who end up getting employed after completion or before, does this account for field-specific or program-specific employment? Or does it also include if, for example, you're studying accounting and you get a job that isn't exactly accounting but relates to the field, is that also included, or were we able to isolate the data?
Yeah, we do have information on the industry sector. So we get data from EDD and two, we get the wages and then the industry sector. But it's really hard to align the industry with the actual occupation because there's differences. Healthcare is just obviously really wide. So we still don't have a solution to that.
We have a temporary one. So there's a survey that is being implemented by about 70 colleges around the state right now that goes out to former students. And one of the questions is, are you employed in something similar to what you studied? And so that information is also integrated into the launch board. So it's sort of a multiple measures approach to looking at employment and earnings data. And that's paid for all colleges for the next year as part of CTE Data Unlocked. Because basically it was the small districts that had less resources that weren't participating, so it equalized the ability to get the data.
So I'm assuming the recommendation before the board is going to be to approve the expenditure plan, and board members can find details on each of the expenditure funds starting on page 39. And so in summary, is there something that you'd like to share with the board before we take a motion on the item?
So we asked the board to approve the annual expenditure plan that is listed on the last page of the slides.
Every year we bring our annual expenditure plan to you. We also bring every contract or grant that's over $100,000 to you for approval. We'll continue to do this. This year is particularly exciting because of the 25 Board of Governors recommendations. They'll impact every single one of these funding streams. They'll also help us drive student success with workforce outcomes.
Thank you. And so before we take a motion, are there any members of the public who wish to address the board on this?
Yes, we have one, David Morse.
And questions after the motion, or after the public comment. So there may be board questions after we take public comment and have a motion to consider.
Thank you, Alice. President Baum, Chancellor Harris, and board members. So first I want to commend the presentation that you just saw on the scorecard. There's a lot of great information there and things being added that faculty have wanted to see added for quite some time. And I know that the Academic Senate has worked very well with the Chancellor's office, with Kathy and the RP group and others to put that all together. So again, I think that's a great example of the way that we can really work effectively together and really have great success. On the expenditure plan, I also don't see anything that we would not agree with, and I think there are a lot of things there that the Academic Senate would absolutely support. But I do want to note that things, career pathways, curriculum alignment, professional development, nursing programs, apprenticeship, all of those are areas that fall under Academic Senate purview. And get to this point, we haven't really been approached for that same kind of collaboration on those items, and we just simply want to urge and ensure that we would support all of those things. We want to be certain that we are given the opportunity to support them and that we are engaged in those discussions from the beginning. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And now we have opportunity for board member questions or comments, and then we will explore whether we're ready to make a motion. Member Belinsky.
On page 37 of the agenda item, it talks about colleges that participate, and this was briefly mentioned in the spring training will be eligible. It's a 10-hour technical assistance to support. How can we get more information on that to know which ones of these have happened, where they're happening, which ones have not happened? So that's my first question.
So on the Doing What Matters website, there's a page that's specific to CTE Data Unlocked, and you can get to it. There's a big headline that shows it. It lists all of the training sites. And then there's work being done with the regional consortia chairs to make sure that all the colleges get to training, and we can come up with other ways for them to get trained.
With what chairs? I'm not hearing
Oh,
it well.
the regional consortia chairs. So these are grantees of the Chancellor's Office that help with regional coordination. You can also find their information about the grant opportunity and ideas for what you could spend those resources on, but colleges are also welcome to submit anything that they would find helpful.
And it also mentioned that some colleges are doing surveys. How can we get access to that information about which colleges are and what the results have been like?
So that's probably the CTE Outcomes Survey, and those results are publicly posted. So it's Santa Rosa Junior College that administers the survey, and you can see statewide results for the last 5 years of its implementation. Plus, many colleges have voluntarily made their results publicly available so that you could look at results by college and by program.
Thank you.
Great. Hey, thank you for the presentation. On page 42, my question is, when you talk about California Apprenticeship Program, so it seems like, we're talking about 160 apprenticeship programs. I'd like to know, of those 160, which ones are actually related to tech, anything that's Cisco networking, anything that's IT, anything that's software development, anything that really falls in the realm of where the jobs are aligned in really the area that is growing quite a bit in California. So that's my first question, and then I have a follow-up after that.
You're absolutely right that I think this was implied that the traditional apprenticeships have been heavily in the building trades, and if you remember in the last board meeting, we brought up $15 million worth of awards, brand new monies, to incentivize different areas like biotech and tech and global trade in order to develop apprenticeships. So the state's been trying to stimulate the apprenticeship engines in order to increase production into areas like what you're talking about.
Another comment I want to make is the Salary Surfer just one I can see for the 2 or 5 minutes that I've looked at it, is really great information, right? And it's what we're trying to communicate to our students is that, you spend 2 years or get a certificate degree, and all of a sudden you can increase your, income by 30-40%, which is amazing. We're going to hear about I Can Afford College campaign soon, I think either today or tomorrow. Is there any way we can kind of bring the two together where it's like, we're talking about I Can Afford College, and the reward is once you complete college, look at the data, look at what happens to your life. So I'd love to figure out how we can actually maybe think about how we can communicate. If we're going out to communicate, we should also communicate this is the impact of why you want college.
I'm glad you asked that because Vice Chancellor Paul Feast is the lead Vice Chancellor on that task force implementation and looking at all the different assets we have and how do they integrate so that it's easier for students.
Member Shaw? Member Shaw?
Do you have any of the regions who might be more interested or less interested in participating in this effort? And if so, if you do, what mechanism will you use to encourage the ones who are least interested?
Well, at this moment, all the regions are interested, and now they're highly interested
Because the money is there.
on the table. So
Because
that
the
will
money.
actually unleash their capacity.
Okay.
Although I think it's worth noting that it's the field that started the drumbeat of the call for this data. And so I've had a chance to be at training, and we're mobbed with people saying, we've been waiting and waiting. Thank goodness you've provided it. We need this so badly. We can't get people off the tool at lunch because they're so interested in seeing what happens to their students. So there's tremendous enthusiasm and energy in the field to go forward.
So, Member Shaw, do I take that as a motion to approve the expenditure plan?
Okay.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, second by Member Budnick. Any further discussion on this item? Member Paynes. I keep saying
You'll
Member
get it.
Payne.
Not to worry. I had 2 observations. I had a chance to read the actual Economic and Workforce Development Program annual report. It was very well done, so I have 2 questions. From the report that I read, that information was broken down in regions, and it was very well done. But I was drawn to the Central Valley, which has some of the highest rates of unemployment, under education, underemployment, all of those kinds of things. And I was looking sort of at the amount of dollars each of the different regions got. And I was born and raised ran away from Los Angeles at the age of 42, the ripe old age of 42. But for many years I lived there, and I recognize that they're the big gorilla. No pun intended. But I also want to kind of make certain that those who are sort of in most need, that there's some specificity in making certain that they get the resources and the technical assistance that they need. And also, we're in particular, the Central Valley, and I know this is a little bit off of this, but I do have a question relative to this. Large populations of Latinos, and that population is growing across the state, and so I guess I want to put out a word of being very mindful of that. And with that in mind, relative to CTE, what I have found at my district is there's some fabulous courses that CTE courses that some students know about, others don't, and they do not connect what their salaries will be. So they go on a pathway of something that they've heard about, but know very little about sort of when you get out how much money you're going to make for the effort and the work that you've put in. And in particular, I do wonder to what extent is there outreach to communities of color and students of color. And so I just want to make certain, and you don't have to answer this now, but one of the questions that I continue to want to know is to what extent is that outreach successful for students of color when they pass through the college doors? And are their needs being met? And are the resources for them to be successful in CTE also there to wrap around them?
You bring up many points, and hopefully there's an opportunity to present at a later time. A key element of all these data tools is that we can see it broken out by demographics. So colleges will have insight to that as the beginning of conversation. In terms of the distribution of the $200 million, in the trailer bill language, one of the variables for modeling the allocation includes unemployment, which is a proxy
Yes,
for,
I noticed that, yeah.
the need that you're talking about. So that continues to be debated and evolved, but I know that is on the radar of the governor.
Thank you.
Okay. Member Burdick?
I'm very pleased to see the skill builders designation coming through, because we've talked about this for so many years. But there are three other areas I think we ought to start thinking about. One is ESL, another is basic skills English, and basic skills math, all of whom have skill builders people in them, people just learning enough to make progress in their jobs. Many of the people in ESL already have advanced degrees and are coming back. So I'd like to start thinking about that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the table to approve the action item as recommended. We'll go ahead and go to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We're going to move to an item up on the agenda, an item we've all been looking forward to tackling. We're going to move to item... We're going to move up item 2.10, a designation of our chancellor to a title of Chancellor Emeritus. To open that, though, I understand there's a presentation by the CEOs, our chancellor's colleagues who are present, and I wanted to invite them to come to the table. And so who is the dean of the CEOs here? I guess Brian is the incoming president of the CEOs, so.
This is the last you will hear from the three of us, at least this meeting. One of the wonderful traditions we have at our annual CEO conference, and as we shared earlier this year, North and South were together, is to honor the colleagues who are retiring. And as you know, Chancellor Harris has failed at retirement once, so this is the second time. And some colleagues prepared a poem that was shared at the CEO conference, and Chancellor Benjamin was nice enough to get it framed. It looks very nice. Do you want to share any more about the
Well, it's a tribute in couplets to our chancellor, our state chancellor, and I will not read all of it, but I'll read the last 4 or 5 lines because you just have to hear that much. But to this point in the series of couplets, we regale him for all of the wonderful, he's a little embarrassed, all of his
keep regaling.
wonderful accomplishments. And at one point, we say in here that he's done more he did more in 3 years and 7 months than many people could have done in 30. And we end by saying, be proud of what you have done as you go on your way, for not one of us has come here to stay. You did your duty, it is true. You left the system better off than you found it. That was certainly the best and most you could do. So we have a copy for you.
Where's the photographer?
Oh my goodness.
You got some more presidents. Kendra, jump in here. Jeanette, you're here.
Jeanette.
Who else is here?
Oh, Rachel.
Rachel's here. Come on, everybody.
Maybe they don't agree with you.
Well, they're getting in the picture.
Okay.
Oh, it's gotten official.
You have a wider lens.
Let me move this.
That's exactly right.
Thank you, Pam. You're welcome.
A chancellor in couplets.
Which way? You got it.
And they
I
can
have to
zoom.
move my head too, Bryce.
And they can,
as
they
long as
can,
it's the-
they can zoom in and read it.
As long as it's this and not my head.
Focus on that guy.
All right, guys, here, this camera here, thank you.
Good, all right.
And while we're still on this subject, I see that there's a member of the public that
Yeah,
wishes to
this
address, an
speaker
additional member
card.
of the public that
David
wishes to address the board
Morse,
on
like to speak on
this.
this item?
Thank you, President Baum. Chancellor Harris, while we are commending Chancellor Harris, I would just like to tell a really brief story that some of the audience have heard me tell before. It goes back to the Student Success Task Force in 2011, which was the first time I worked with Chancellor Harris. And there was one particular recommendation that the faculty was highly opposed to all the way through the process, and that kept coming back month after month, no matter how much we fought against it. And finally, at the last meeting, it was simply put to a vote, although we had voted on nothing to that point, and the recommendation passed by a vote of 12-7. The only ones in the room who voted against it were Chancellor Constance Carroll, the student representative, and the 5 faculty members in the room. And so the faculty were pretty much horrified that this idea that we were convinced was very bad for the system had been passed. And at that point, Chancellor Harris spoke up and said, I was in favor of this idea. I do believe it could work, but I am not in favor of pushing anything forward that every faculty member in the room is telling us is a bad idea. We need to reconsider this. And got the recommendation stopped and reconsidered. That moment has stood in my mind ever since as an example of the respect that Chancellor Harris has shown, not only for the faculty voice, but for the voice of all of the constituents in our system and the way that he has worked with all of us. So I simply want to say to Chancellor Harris, on behalf of the Academic Senate, thank you for all that you have done for the system and for us. And for me personally, I have enjoyed working with you, being mentored by you, and calling you both a chancellor and a friend. Thank you.
We also have Victor Charin from the Student Senate.
So we planned, I'm the only representative from the Student Senate here today, so we have our presentation tomorrow. We have a nice little plaque for you. But I do want to share a story before we, before this item goes for a vote. And that was one of the ending of, one of the last consultation councils that Chancellor Harris was at. And I gave him a pin, and it's the pin of the SSCCC. And I'll make sure everyone gets one at the end of this week. And I handed him the pin, and right away he goes to take off his community college's pin, and he says, "This pen looks so much better, and this pen represents so much more for me. So I'm gonna wear it for the rest of the day." And from that rest of the day, he made sure to wear it, and it instilled that at the end of the day, Chancellor Harris knew that he served the students, and Chancellor Harris, all of his work that he did leading up to this 3 years was for the students. And this past consultation council at this very last meeting, we go and me and President Salem asked if we can take a picture. And he says, of course I'll take a picture for the only people who matter in this room. And at that time, there was a bunch of people in the room. So Chancellor Harris from the Student Senate from California Community Colleges, and for me personally, thank you for your service, and thank you for everything you've done, and everything that you've led by example. So have a happy retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open up the board discussion by making a motion, and I move that the that the chancellor, we appoint Bryce Harris as Chancellor Emeritus of the community college system as soon as the second he has transitioned from being chancellor to retirement. And so we have a motion and a second. I'll open up to board members for comments or in favor or against the motion. Member Blinsky.
I just want to continue what's already been said to say thank you. thank you for your willingness to be here for the last 3.5 years. But I think what has caught my attention the most is the amount of time and effort you've placed in going to all the various regions of this state, and not to stay here simply in Sacramento, and to go out and communicate what we need to be doing, and to influence people, and to inspire people, and to show them the greater things that we need to do to bring about student success. And I just think that that willingness to go out and communicate and pull people in has been very, very helpful to our system. Thank you.
Member Hawkins?
Well, it's been an interesting ride, Bryce. You've listened to every time I've approached you with issues. I think we've worked well together. What I want you to do is, for me and others, thank Barbara for sharing you with us for the last 3.5 years. That was very kind of her to do, and our system and state are much better off for that. Thank you.
Member Sumner?
I just want to say thank you for your legacy, to see the changes from when we first came on the board almost 2 years ago, and the energy in the room was a lot different. And to look where it is now, it shows that you make change has happened, and you have created leaders, and you are respected. And that poem, I would love to get a copy of that poem. I just think as you look towards retirement, like you and I had a conversation, with you and your wife, I hope you enjoy. Take the time. Don't answer the cell phone. Go off the grid. But thank you for your guidance and for your leadership, and I really appreciate it.
Yes.
As a
Member Haynes. Member Shaw. We'll go with Member Shaw first.
thank you.
Well, I was jumping over.
That's okay. I'm a new member to the board, and I've sort of come from the political arena where some people think that they're leaders. Or they say they're leaders. But I see in Bryce Harris a true leader. And that's because I think he lifts individuals and he lifts the system, all the systems. It's just been a joy working with you. You know, I tried to talk to your wife and tell her, to let you stay. But people always say, well, you'll be missed. You'll be missed. But we're at a loss for losing you. We're at a loss.
We'll go in order. Yeah.
I too have been on for a short time, but I think we'll very much feel your absence from the board. I have rarely had the opportunity to work with someone as seasoned and reasoned and judicious, and I've watched you approach all issues with those characteristics and bring a wisdom and a fairness and an ability to articulate and understand a variety of positions that I haven't seen that many times in my career. So. In addition to missing the 48 memos that we get during the course of a year, I will miss all those characteristics and wish you very well in your retirement, and hope that we can call upon you sometimes for that sagacity that we've seen. And I think what we've experienced of it will guide us forward in a really good way. So I thank you very, very much.
Member Burdick?
I too am a recent addition to the board, and first, thank you for welcoming the newbies in, and for the extraordinary communication that we have had back and forth during this time. I also want to thank you for creating the atmosphere that a chancellor's office that works so well and with such dedication for us is just remarkable. It's a great team, and we're fortunate to have them. I did want to make one suggestion for an edit on the resolution, and that is in the 47th whereas or whatever it is, where we get to the Performing Arts Center at Folsom Lake College was actually named in honor of both Dr. and Mrs. Harris. I think that would be a nice addition.
Member Haynes?
So, Bryce, we go back a long way, and I'm just very privileged to spend your last meeting, my first meeting here on the board. I remember when you retired from Los Rios, and you sort of asked the question, yeah, should I do the Board of Governors? Should I be chancellor? And my retort to you was, have you asked Barbara? What does she say? And when I found out that she was supportive, then of course I was supportive. I've had a chance to work in the legislature for a number of years, and you have brought new standing to how the community colleges are seen and perceived in that building, and I think that does good for us as we move ahead. I just want to wish you well. And I want you to have many days of Bermuda shorts and baggy pants and your shirt outside of them, because I think everyone knows how dapper you are, to the point of even having your khakis with that press down the. So I just want to make sure that you are relaxed and you do the things that you and Barbara both are so well deserved of.
I promise.
Okay.
Member Khan?
So I'll keep it concise, and let me actually jump back to my application, which brought me to the seat. I define leadership off of something that I learned personally. Leadership is an act of empowerment. It is not an act of trying to take a stance of superiority and tell people what to do. And no one epitomizes that better than our chancellor. He has consistently shown that the way that you enable a system to be its best is by proving that as a leader, you can bring out the best in the people you work with. So I personally have learned a lot from you, Chancellor Harris, and I wanted to thank you more than anything for building this culture of inclusion throughout our system. You didn't have to travel to every school to create that. You've done that from here, and you've done an incredible job at that. The next chancellor has huge shoes to fill, and as a member of the search committee, I keep trying to tell them if we just clone Chancellor Harris, save a lot of trouble. But I wish you all the best in vacation. Keep your ties out of it, and, take it easy.
Member Campbell?
Thank you. So I, too, am a new member to the board, but I've actually been in the system of community colleges in California for quite some time. And in that time, I've seen a lot of the dark days that we speak of now in the past. And I really do admire the work and leadership that you've brought to the table. Not many people could have steered us through all that time. And as a student, I really appreciate, even though we've lost things along the way, all the things that were saved due to the leadership of chancellors like you. So on behalf of the students and Hassan and everyone else, we really do appreciate everything that you've done for us. Thank you.
Member Conway?
Bryce, I came, I'm not taking this personally, I came and you decided to leave. But I certainly understand all the reasons why. It's always difficult to the ones you leave behind, but it's really great for those that you're heading off into the sunset with. So much appreciation for everything. And you can run, but you can't hide. So if we need you, we will find you.
Absolutely. I think a few of the most incredible things that I know are not my strengths, that you've just done so incredibly well as I've come onto this board, and I also serve on the Board of Corrections, and there's a huge difference. But so much is kind of watching how you, kind of your eye for talent, and seeing the team you've built here, that you will leave and you will be hugely missed, but the talent that you brought in terms of the vice chancellors and a lot of folks that work with them, have just blown me away my entire couple years on this board. And I said this to you privately today, and I wanted to say it earlier in my comments when a lot of the public were here. But you took so many daggers and arrows that shouldn't have even been meant for you, were falsely accused of all types of things just because you were sitting in that chair. And you grinned and you bared it. And I so many times wanted to do a backflip over this wall. And how you maintained your calm and never thought for 1 second what was happening here and instead just did a very thoughtful investigation and sent your folks out to see what was happening, and I just thought you handled it with so much dignity and in such an honorable way. So I agree with Ms. Hayes that you should go relax, put those shorts on, even if they are seersucker.
Member Epstein?
Well, I think we've reached the point in the proceedings when everything's been said, but not everybody's said it. I do just want to point out a couple things. The thing that I've been most impressed by in my service here has been the emphasis on accountability and metrics. And I was very surprised to see a system of goals and milestones so implemented across such a broad and complicated system, and it's been, I think, a real testament to something to you. What we heard this morning, I mean, just recently, is a good example. I also hadn't heard David's story before, and I hadn't heard the students' story, and I think that that reflects a lot on you personally. That you always listened to the key constituencies and did what was right, and the way as Scott just mentioned, the way you handled the credentialing issue, I think was remarkable, and we'll certainly miss you. I think your team is terrific, and so you are leaving a great legacy both on the ground here and in what you've accomplished.
Thank you, Tom.
Maravelos?
Thank you. I think the word that describes you is really being a gentleman, right? You are the type of person that you go above and beyond, right? You do it with respect, you do it with quality, you just show, the demeanor that just shows respect, right? And I appreciate that very much. At times we didn't agree on certain things, but you never really took that personal. It was all about, a different perspective and a conversation, and we got to a good place, and that's great. And I appreciate everything you've done for not only us, the board, but also for the state of California and the students. And the other thing that I find is, when you have people who worked with you in the past who want to work for you again, that also describes the type of person that you are, right? The leader that you are, that, you can make a call and people are like, when do you want me to start? And that's just amazing perspective and amazing experience that you have and aura that you have that people really want to work for you. So in many ways, you've mentored lots of people in your experience, and that's a definition of a teacher. And that is something that you embody and you epitomize, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Member Reed?
I don't know if you'll recall, but I was on the selection committee, and I asked you a question. I said, you can't be this good. I mean, you just can't be this good. And I said, tell us a shortfall. There's got to be something that you need to work on. And he said, yes, there is. He said, I have always spent my career in large school districts, Fresno, Los Rios, and the like. And he says, I really need to familiarize myself with the small schools. And you did that, and I appreciate that. And you even came to Porterville, so. And then no one comes to Porterville. So, other than our elected official, Connie here. So I appreciate it very much, but I hope you remember that, and you lived up to every word of that.
Thank you.
Chancellor Harris, I think Tom is right. Everything's been said, but I would say from bottom of my heart, thank you for your patience, thank you for your leadership, thank you for setting such a tremendous tone of a calm demeanor, respect, and dignity. I agree, you can always measure a leader by the team that they've assembled, and your team is extraordinary. You can also kind of measure it by how hard it is to replace you. And as the person who's chairing the committee that's trying to find a replacement, we have an excellent pool, but I think we've heard from a number of people, I'm no Bryce Harris, but. So you set a standard, and I personally have learned from your leadership style and have appreciated really your thoughtfulness and most of all, how much you care for our students.
Thank you, sir.
That is at the core of what you do, and none of us will ever forget that, so thank you.
Well, Chancellor, you've heard it from everybody, and I just wanted to express my thanks. You've always represented this system and this board extremely well. You've made us look much more adept than we deserve to be, but you've led by example. You've led by personal persuasion, as I know you are able to do in a very complex system. And so we've been fortunate to have you as the leader of our state system, and also to chart new frontiers of leadership with the state. An example, of course, is the partnership that you've developed with both the California State University and the University of California, and pushing forward with our sister systems of higher education. But as others have mentioned, always at the core has been your commitment to all of our students, especially the underserved students in the system, and you have not let your foot off the pedal 1 second throughout your time in this spot, and it's pushed our system forward, and the results are apparent with the increased support we've received from the Capitol and the governor, as well as the beginnings of seeing those results bear out in the data and that we are beginning to collect, and so that's I think the best testament that we'll be able to point to collectively, but you are responsible for personally, is going to be those tens of thousands of students who are going to be successful today that might not have had that same level of success that was in place before you became the leader of the system. So it's we've been very fortunate, and looking forward to continuing your legacy by continuing that trajectory of accountability and excellence and service to our students. So thank you. It's no secret to anybody on this board that Chancellor Harris takes every opportunity to keep every member of this board informed. And when the board was only 8 members, it was one challenge. When it's 17, it's another. But everybody has a personal connection to the Chancellor, and he is accessible anytime we need him, day and night, mobile phone, whether he's in town or out of town, and has always sought to keep us informed. The no surprises rule. There's nothing that has happened in this state within community colleges in the last 3.5 years that I was not informed about in advance and had an opportunity to learn from the Chancellor on that. So I appreciate your help and your support personally, but even more importantly for, again, those tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of students that will have a better access to better instruction than they would have ever had had you not been the leader of the system. So thank you very much. So I will go to a roll call vote, so all voices are heard. If we can take the roll.
Yes.
I can't hear.
Aye.
I can't hear her.
Aye.
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 See,
Aye.
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 Affirmative.
It's unanimous. We now have a Chancellor Emeritus as of April 2nd, 2016. Notice I did. Yeah, we will do a group photo. We didn't give him a chance to speak against the motion because I wanted to make sure we had access to his wisdom and his guidance, even though he will no longer be on our under contract to us after that, too.
What if I have something very important I need to talk to you about on the 2nd at 6 a.m.?
You've got my cell phone.
Okay, we're going to do one group photo. Steve, if we could have all the board members. We're going to take a 5-minute break while we take the group photo.
All right. That's good. Now, can y'all come forward? All right, get ready. No blinking. We'll get it on the first shot.
Oh, really?
One. Put her in the back, just on this way. Okay, one, two. One more step, we're done. One, two.
Jennifer or Jody in my office.
Yes. I'll let them know.
Yes, exactly.
It's a little different, isn't it?
We're not heckling.
This is a new jacket. No, it's an old jacket, but I think that was this morning. But I wanted to wear with something very geometric. I said, no, that's not gonna be good.
Classy.
Yeah, I'm trying to take that transition to classy, yet comfortable. It's wear suits, it really is.
You met Julie yet, by the way?
No.
She's our new vice chancellor.
Hello, new vice chancellor.
Yes, we're soon to be president.
Well, I have a personal interest in the next item. We gotta get that Senate approved.
Right, that's true.
Okay.
Here you are.
Oh, fabulous, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Hey, Cecilia,
Believe me,
how's Catherine doing? How's it going?
Okay.
Did the caucus endorsements help at all?
No, it's actually
Good.
which, so not planned yet, but there's probably a good chance. We don't have all other than yeah. Well, I will also send you the invitation to our plenary session.
Oh, really?
Which is our, the broader, all of our.
Like $4,000 a piece or whatever it is?
I did it. I did it personally.
Good, yes.
Good.
I think so. Yeah. So look forward to having.
I mean, it's literally for her to get in after the primary, she's got to go after Portantino, right? Antonovich is in, right? So it would be Antonovich. Yeah, who is she? Oh yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah. It takes a while.
You should.
Whatever. Okay.
I think Ron and I have the ability to do that. Well, if there is, I'll follow the story. But there, I mean, that should be no surprise to anyone.
about 2 weeks. Will do.
Of the Los Rios Community College District's Rancho Cordova Education
know
Center. And Chancellor, I'd like to turn to you for, to begin conversation on
Thank you,
that.
President Baum, members of the board. I do want to acknowledge, if you look at this board item, that it was brought forward to you by Deputy Chancellor Skinner. I have an obvious conflict of interest from a few years back. But with that, I'll turn it over to Dan, who will present the item, and he's pleased to have a colleague with him today. Dan?
That's right. Thank you, Chancellor Harris, President Baum, members of the board. Today, I'm pleased to bring with you for your approval a new center in the Los Rios Community College District. If approved, it would be the 6th center in Los Rios, the Rancho Cordova Educational Center. Currently, it is an outreach site in the district. The district has spent over $20 million in local bonds in support of this center. And the district, in order to get center approval status, it completes a comprehensive needs assessment, which it submits to our office for review. That needs assessment includes key areas such as student services, the academic program, the fiscal and capital outlay needs of the support for the proposed center, as well as we take a look at the demographic and geographical issues in place. Our review of the needs assessment has found it more than ready for your approval. We're very pleased by the comprehensive nature of the student services provided to its students, including veteran services, financial aid, tutoring, EOPS, support for disabled students, and others. The academic programs are complete and well in tune with the needs of the Rancho Cordova community, including ESL, basic skills, general education courses, as well as programs in business, accounting, and purchasing. A couple of items before I turn it over to the president of Folsom Lake College, Rachel Rosenthal, who you've noticed has joined me here, is that the Department of Finance demographics have shown that this region of the county, Rancho Cordova, is projected to grow about 36% between 2010 and 2020. The county area is growing only 12% at that time. So we think that that supports the need for a center status for the Rancho Cordova Educational Center. Also of note is that it has letters of support from all the local neighboring educational institutions. With that, I'll turn it over to President Rosenthal.
Well, thank you. As he said, I'm Rachel Rosenthal, president of Folsom Lake College. Oh, whoops. I should turn my mic on. Hi. So good afternoon to President Baum, governors, and Chancellor Harris. As he said, I'm Rachel Rosenthal, president of Folsom Lake College, and I'm here today for the Rancho Cordova Center. So I'm going to offer you a brief overview of the origins, timelines, and the programs at the center to give you some context for the decision you'll make today. And so in 2001, the Los Rios Community College District, comprised of American River, Cosumnes River, Sacramento City, and Folsom Lake Colleges, developed what was called a plan to educate the region. And this plan was fully supported by the Board of Trustees and identified as, Dan said, 6 centers, one serving the growing Rancho Cordova area. And the idea was to provide strategic local educational opportunities in support of the 4 colleges. So the board was committed to finding a way to increase access to quality higher education by locating programs closer to where our students live and work within the expansive 2,400 square mile service area of the district. So, and additionally, because we know that transportation can be an issue for many of our students, there was a strategic decision made to locate these centers in close proximity to mass transit. And it has an added benefit of having an impact on roads and pollution levels. So Rancho Cordova, as he said, was identified as one of the 6 planned educational centers due to the city's thriving economy, higher than average projected population growth, demand for a well-trained workforce, and the need to better serve an underrepresented student population. So the fully functional outreach center was established in 2001, offering classes in a leased facility we call the storefront, just south of Highway 50. So in 2006, the letter of intent for the center was approved by the state chancellor's office. That was 10 years ago. And an initial needs study was prepared and submitted in 2008 and was scheduled actually to be on the Board of Governors' agenda in March of 2009. But because of difficulties in acquiring the land, that agenda item was pulled and was never presented to the Board of Governors. But by late 2013, the land acquisition was complete, and the college launched an aggressive plan, and we tripled course offerings and the number of students served in Rancho Cordova, 1, to fulfill the district's promise to the community, and 2, to prepare for a new, larger Rancho Cordova facility. So last summer, in July 15, a revised needs study was completed and submitted to the state chancellor's office, and that indicated that the center would meet the 1,000 FTES requirement for official center status. So last fall was a very big fall for the college because we did the ribbon cutting on a new building for the Rancho Cordova Center. This is a permanent, dedicated 26,000 square foot facility funded entirely by local bond measures A and M. So it's a stunning facility north of Highway 50, and it has substantially impacted access to higher education and has made a dramatic impact actually on Folsom Boulevard where it's situated. It transformed a blighted area. If you knew it, there was a hotel that had been abandoned and homeless were living in it. So transform a blighted area of the city into a welcoming center for higher education. And it's located right across the street from a light rail station. The students just walk across the street. So Rancho Cordova now meets all the requirements for an approved educational center. Enrollments last fall were 500 FTES, and we expect the same this spring. So the total for this year will be the 1,000 FTES. And as for courses and programs, the center will offer an increased selection of general education courses to satisfy graduation requirements for an associate's degree and transfer to ASU and UC. There is a core set of ESL courses because there's a high percentage of students who are of Romanian and Ukrainian descent that attend college at Rancho Cordova, and then certificates in business. And the idea is students would start at this center and then transfer to the main campus in Folsom for many of the other degrees and certificates. So in addition, I do want to point out that the college is partnering with the Folsom Cordova Unified School District to identify and implement pathways for their juniors, seniors, and recent high school graduates. And this year, for the very first time, the Folsom Lake College offered classes at Cordova High School. So in summary, the Rancho Cordova Center has become a very important part of Folsom Lake College, the Los Rios Community College District, and the city of Rancho Cordova. They love this place, I can tell you. So with this sixth center, the Los Rios Community College Board of Trustees has met the goal they set forth in their plan to educate a region and have increased access to residents throughout the centers located in the district service area. So with that, I ask for your support in confirming center status for the Rancho Cordova Center.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board on this item?
I have no speaker cards.
Good, I'll entertain a motion. A motion by Member Sumner and second by Member Reed. Excuse me. Any discussion? Member Belinsky.
I just want to follow up on what Vice Chancellor Troy said, that it's important not just to have instruction, but to have student services. And I'm impressed with the amount of student services, including foster youth, health services, veteran services, tutoring services. It's impressive because, as we know, students need more than just what's going on in the classroom. They need these additional services, and this is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Haynes, and you may need to abstain on this.
Yes, I wanted to. I'm a trustee on the Los Rios Community College Board, so I will abstain.
One question before I vote is, again, could you remind me what WSCH is?
Weekly student contact hours. So
Okay.
it's how we get paid. It's the metric for apportionment and how the college get paid.
Great. Any further questions? Okay, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Congratulations. We're working our way through Chancellor Harris's checklist before.
That was a big one right there.
I was concerned when I heard we were losing one vote, but
Thank you very much, and thank you, President King. Item number 2.5, update to the 1991 Long-Range Growth Plan. Chancellor.
Thank you, President Baum, members of the board. This item is one you see annually, but we've changed the title to try to keep it delineated from the Long-Range Strategic Facilities Plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dan to give you some background.
yes, thank you, Chancellor Harris, President Baum, members of the board. As the agenda notes, this is an item that we have not updated since 1991, which sounds like a long time, and I guess that it is. I will say that there was a reason why we haven't updated it since then, and that was because when the system, when new centers and colleges have been brought forth to the board for approval, up until 2011, they were required to receive an assessment from the California Post-Secondary Education Commission. So we deferred to them in terms of the analysis of the demographic needs and geographical needs within the state. So we weren't lazy. It's just that we were duplicating the efforts done by CPEC. That commission met its demise in the 2011 budget. So since it disappeared, we thought it was time that we updated the long-range master plan to provide the board a framework for assessing the needs for new centers and colleges, in particular when it comes before the board. So with me today, I have our director of the Facilities Planning Unit, Susan Yeager, and Susan is going to tell us a little bit more about the process.
Good afternoon. We're very happy to bring you this plan today. It's something that we've been working on for approximately 2 years. We have taken the plan several times to the ACBO Facilities Task Force, and it's also gone to consultation. So we've tried to be very conscious of including the system and including stakeholders in the conversation. So with that, Carlos Montoya from the Facilities Planning Unit staff has done quite a lot of the work, and actually most of the work on this plan. And so I'm going to ask him to present a few details to you.
Thank you. The long-range master plan basically provides a framework for evaluating future sites and new centers and colleges as well. And it provides basically a criteria in which to evaluate those sites, both at a system level and at a regional level. The planning criteria is actually based around 4 categories: future demand, access, capacity, and local intent. So districts, we can incorporate districts' local information into the planning process that we conduct here. And so here on the left in blue, what we see is that statewide, student enrollment is projected to increase to 1.9 million students by the year 2023. And so the framework in this long-range master plan gives us kind of a path in which to evaluate how to accommodate that student growth in the future. In the past, in order to meet student demand, what we've seen is districts have increased the total number of square footages at their campuses by 60%. And so moving forward, we want to ensure that as we evaluate new centers, that we take in that criteria in order to accommodate those new students. And then with this map, what we're really trying to depict is the relationship between site locations that currently exist amongst all of our community colleges and centers in relation to the actual population of California. And so here what we've done is we've mapped out the population density in California, as well as overlaid all the site locations of all approved sites, except for Rancho, which was just approved. And we've created a 25-minute drive time radius around each site to show and demonstrate how our existing sites are actually serving the population of California currently. In this table, what we're trying to measure here is basically how each region is impacted by current levels of enrollment, and we're trying to identify the degree to which each region may have need for exploring additional sites or facilities by really trying to measure their academic load through WISH, which is a common metric.
Every year we publish a 5-year capital outlay plan, which we'll be bringing to the board for this year at the next meeting. Last year, and in that 5-year plan, we do the 10-year need because CSU and CSU provided that information to the legislature at one point, and we were not going to be left out. So we calculate that need every year, and it's currently around $39 billion over 10 years. And that includes for new facilities, modernization, and new centers. We estimate approximately 10 new centers over the next 10 years at a cost of about $50 million each. The 10 may be low. I think we may be seeing more centers proposed than that. But the $50 million is, we're currently arguing about that. So I think it's a good estimate of what the facilities might cost us per center. And someone else thinks that it's too high. So we'll work on that number some more. But generally speaking, there has to be a recognition when these centers are approved. They not only take apportionment dollars, but they also use up any bond dollars we might have for facilities. So the purpose of, the reason we really wanted to revise this plan and bring it up to date was so that we could have a framework within which to evaluate new colleges and centers. Does this make sense for the state of California? Is this the right place for a new center? And so that the board could have something with which, a framework within which to make those decisions. And so we think that we have that today before you. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. And otherwise, we'd ask for your approval of the revision of the long-range master plan.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board?
I have no speaker cards.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the recommendation for the master plan. And we'll go for discussion. A motion by Member Burdick and a second by Member Belinsky. We'll go for discussion. Member Avalos?
So as I look at this, thank you very much for the presentation. Have we looked at utilization of facilities, right? So one of the questions I have is, how well used are our buildings that we currently have? Are they 50% used? And I don't know how to quantify it, but I'm assuming if you look at from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night, if we look at those, what is utilization of that? Do we have any data on that? Because what I'm concerned about is, I don't think we can build more facilities. I don't think we can, go out of our way to spend a lot of money on really new construction versus how well are we utilizing the facilities we currently have today. And that's something that, to me, is really important to understand.
We actually do a utilization report every 2 years. We're required to do that. It is, the parameters, the criteria for the report is based on our WISH definitions in Title V for the various space types. Generally speaking, our facilities are quite well used. Obviously there's a range. I would say that the majority of districts are using their facilities quite well. We do have some that, especially with the falling enrollments, I haven't seen the report for this time. It probably won't be ready till October or so. But I think we could bring that report back to you so you can get a better idea of.
For me, I think that would be really important, right? To me, when you use words quite well, it might be used. That's not specific for me personally. I'm looking for a little more granular data. And ultimately, if you're asking to approve something like this, that's something I think would be corollary to the discussion.
True, and the report does have numbers, but also I think that Carlos could maybe address this as what's in the long-range master plan.
Yes, and so if we, this is part of a much larger piece of the data set that's actually in the report itself, where we really tried to look at WISH, which is that standard unit of measure that actually goes into those calculations that are in Title V, or it used to be in Title V, now it's a board policy. What we've done here is try to standardize that across each region, and one thing that we've noticed is that you have statewide pretty good utilization of our facilities. What you may have some disconnect is within certain districts or within certain regions, various nuances. So for example, when you look at the Central Valley, there's a lot of rural communities, and so providing services won't be as efficient as providing services in a small number of centers like in LA or San Francisco in the Bay Area. And so we have to take that into consideration when we look at that, but at the same time I understand trying to find a common unit of measure, which is what we try to do with the on-site weekly student contact hours per acre, to find another element that we could evaluate before we go out and try to approve new centers. And that's really what the framework is to look at a common set of metrics across all districts and to see where a district, when they bring a proposal, does it make sense? And also to include more regional collaboration, since we know that different districts are operating with different sets of community needs as well. So we want to take that into account.
Member Epstein?
I'm just curious about how much of this is funded, and if so, how it's funded, and if it's not funded, what are the steps that need to be taken to get it funded?
Well, I can answer in terms of, for this long-range master plan, there are, I think, maybe 10 LOIs in the back, letter of intents, that have already been approved. There is no funding, state funding involved at this time for those districts. If they want to become a state-approved district, the center, there is a process, and it involves submitting a needs assessment that answers a fair amount of questions about the center, such as Los Rios did for their Rancho Cordova Center. They then, if they have 1,000 FTES, they are eligible for apportionment funding. They can get facilities funding at 500 FTES, and they would submit projects just like any other capital outlay project is submitted by districts. They would submit a proposal, and they would be eligible for funding if the project competed well against other projects.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about just the centers. I mean, this whole, 25 billion that.
30.
Yeah, whatever, 35 billion. I mean,
We currently,
what's the reality?
We are out of bond funds. The state is completely out of bond funds. There is a potential, well, currently there is a bond scheduled for the 2016 ballot, but we won't know the outcome of that. And again, the 5-year plan that you'll be seeing in May contains many projects, some 100% locally funded, some district and state funded, and some 100% funded, proposed for 100% state funding. Any of those projects that involve state funding are dependent upon the passage of a bond in 2016. Local projects, obviously, if it's 100% local funding, they are proceeding, districts are proceeding with those projects. So that's what I can tell you about the funding available. It's limited to the local amount, and unfortunately, I do not have the estimate with me of what that is, but I want to say it's in the $15 billion range, somewhere in there.
Chancellor, did you want to say
Well,
something?
I just want to say historically, Member Epstein, that until the state bonds stopped being issued, it was generally a rule of thumb that at the K-12 level, that would be 50% local and 50% state funded. Subsequently, many of our college districts began to try to adopt that model in passing local bonds. Unfortunately, the state bonds have stopped, and now many of the districts have had to go to either redoing bonds that have already been agreed to by the voters to change the local contribution, or in bonds that are passed subsequently, often they are 100% funded at the local level. I think the debate about funding of higher education facilities is going to continue in the not-too-distant future, especially as long as Governor Brown is in office, because he's stated publicly that he has some concerns about the state funding facilities for higher ed and for K-12. But historically, it was 50-50 until this stoppage of state bonds, and now many of them are 100%, or they don't get built.
Member Sumner, then Member Vice President Estolano.
Since we approved the previous, I believe we need to change the number on page 52 and page 53 from 77 to 78, and then on page 53, change it to 191, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Vice President Estolano.
Yeah, I'm really looking at the projections of future demand. I mean, this is a planning tool, it's a planning document, nothing's written in stone. It's really trying to make the case of where we look at growth happening. And a few things caught my eye. One is the assumptions on population growth. Just things for folks to note. California's population is slowing down. The rate of growth is substantially slowing down. And our projections over the last 30, looking backwards 30 years, we were really off. We thought we were going to grow a lot faster than we did. We've grown slower. We're having less in-migration. We're having out-migration. So that's reflected in here. I see you guys have pretty slow growth rate, like a 3% rate. So that's just worth noting. I think people oftentimes, especially folks around my age group and a little bit older, we're still assuming that we're in a really high growth. We're not. So that's one thing. But the other key factor is adult participation rate. And that's super interesting, because what I did was I looked at the appendix, I think it's C or B or one of the ones, where it goes through each of the districts, and it talks about the projected increase in adult participation rate by district. Where do those numbers come from? I'm just kind of curious. Because that's, the magic is in that growth in adult participation rate. Is this aspirational? I mean, where did those numbers come from?
Those are actually true historical adult participation rates. And so we've basically taken the population and broken it down by district.
Okay.
And we're using a software system in order to do this. We're matching that up with actual historical headcount enrollments and combining that with the population, both historical and the projected. And we're taking it adult participation. So basically 18 to 64, because that's the population rate that traditionally participates in community college. And we apply the participation rate at which adults have participated historically and applying that to the future of that population projection. And so we're not projecting growth in a way of, taking a flat 2% or 3% and applying that to the future. We're applying what has historically happened in that district and applying that historical outcome to that projected population, because participation rates tend not to vary district by district significantly.
They vary a lot by district, actually, the assumptions.
In the last couple of years of the downturn, when we've cut course sections, we've limited a couple of those course sections that have changed the immediate participation rate. A lot of part-time students were not able to participate, and so there's a nuance in there where we try to accommodate that and get to the true participation potential demand in that area.
So we have a long agenda. I'm not going to, this is an interesting point, but I think for my colleagues to note, this is wrapped up into the assumptions we make about how well we're going to do. For example, the stuff that Vaughn always shows us, that 1 million middle skill that we need, right? To achieve that, we actually have to crack the participation rate. Our adult participation rate is pretty low compared to the rest of the country. And so if you project out the demographic curves, which vary substantially, depending if you're in the coast, Central Valley, Inland Empire, the North Coast, they vary substantially by region. If you got really into this, it could be an interesting snapshot of the future of California. What I can't quite get, just because I didn't really read it as closely as I should have, is whether we've gotten to that level of detail. And it sounds like you guys are just extrapolating based on historical, right?
We are. We've also tried to look at analyzing that data between our office and the research, between TRIS as well, to try to get in there and dig into that a little bit more. Because there is a lot of fascinating nuances to that data that we're trying to look at.
Yeah, it's at some point, and it probably would occur during our big strategic planning process, we have to get into this data. I mean, we really have to think through where is California headed in currently, where does it need to head to have broad prosperity for the mass of people who live here and will live here in the future? And then what does that mean in terms of our facilities planning? I think Arnaldo's point, or Board Member Avilas's point about utilization rates, interesting. In the real estate field, the amount of space that people are using in office space is reduced dramatically now. There's just complete changes in the way that physically space is being used. I don't know how that might be changing in an educational context, but probably there are changes, particularly if you add online education and other factors. So I just point all this out because the fact that you guys did this is really important. It's a baseline, but it's all about the assumptions. And if you throw in the mix what our aspirations are to be as a system, and then the changes in the way we use physical space, it could really change your 30 billion or whatever number that you've put out there, 50 million per center. So I just wanted to kind of highlight all those things because I think this is very rich data. So thank you for putting the effort into doing this for 2 years.
So before we go to a vote, then speaking to that, now that, because we've had a 25-year hiatus in doing this, so when will this be back so we can monitor some of that data and revise this long-range plan as it comes through?
I think an update, a refresh every 5 years or so sounds about right.
Right. So, okay, thank you very much. Any further questions? We'll go to a vote.
President Baum, if I may, I would be remiss if I did not note that Director Yeager has spent about 17 years in this office, the last 3, as director of our facilities planning unit, and today is actually her last day with us. I know that we've got a short timer theme going today, so I'll add to it, but I did want to commend the great work that she's done for this office and for the system in that time. And note that as of tomorrow, she'll be the Vice President of Administrative Services at Ohlone College. So our loss is Ohlone College's gain.
Thank you. You've been great. Well, we will really miss you, but congratulations. We will really miss your work and your analytical skills. I mean, you've just been terrific, so thank you.
So much.
Thank you, and thank you, Vice Chancellor Troy. So we will go to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention?
That's a tough one.
Okay, the long-range plan is adopted. We're now moving on to item 2.6 on the agenda, which is another important one, the California Community Colleges University of California Transfer Partnership.
Thank you, President Baum, members of the board. This really is an exciting item, and I'm really pleased to bring it forward for your consideration. We have an increasingly robust partnership with both our university partners, but in the last year and a half, the University of California has really moved mountains to open the doors for our students. If you look at the history of transfer, both our university systems struggled, as we did during the financial downturn, to accommodate our students. But under President Napolitano's leadership, she's really doubled down on the promise of the university to admit community college transfers, and the programs you're going to hear about today are evidence of that commitment. And it's really a pleasure to introduce Vice Chancellor Walker, who will introduce a colleague from the universities. Pam?
President Baum, Vice President Estolano, board members, Chancellor Harris. I'm actually Denise Nolden.
Right.
Because when Denise Nolden was here at the...
Pull the mic to you.
Sorry. Do you know I'm Denise Nolden?
Yes.
When Denise Nolden was here working in student services, she and a colleague at the University of California Office of the President, Judy Sakaki, who has just become the president of Sonoma State, started working on this. And I'm delighted now to have my colleague Amy Dorr, who is the provost at UCOP, join me here and talk about this program. This is a transfer partnership with the University of California and a goal of increasing the UC student diversity of supporting community college students, counselors, and faculty. We are recognizing that our University of California opportunities are vital to our community college students, but only about 19 of our colleges really get involved in transferring students to the University of California. So we have been looking at new ways and partnerships to change that significantly. Our recommendation is that the board approve this proposed strategies as you look on your second page: advancing UC transfer pathways, building a summer bridge for community college transfer students, creating regional academic advising partnerships, and supporting the community college counselors and advisors through professional development in advance to California's transfer pathway. I think it's important to note that as we are honoring Bryce Harris for everything he's done since he's come to California, one of the things that he did when he was in the Los Rios Community College District is created some opportunities for the University of California at Davis to have counselors on all of our college programs in Los Rios, which really helped our students have a better understanding of how to do them. They could look right at someone and talk about the University of California, and I think this is the program that we hope to envision for all of our colleges today. So I'm going to let Amy tell you a little bit more, and then we're here to answer some questions about this.
Thank you there we go. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Walker, President Baum, Vice President Estolano, members of the board, and Chancellor Harris. I'm very pleased to join you today. I only regret that this seat isn't filled with our Associate Vice President for Undergraduate Admissions. He's homesick. Of course, we're glad he's there. But he was going to be here, and many of the accomplishments that we have made, he and his staff have had a very strong hand in. So I also bring greetings from University of California President Napolitano. She wishes, as do I,
to thank the board for your extraordinary and farsighted support of the master plan's transfer function. And more importantly for today's agenda, the board's support for California community college students throughout the state who are interested in transferring to a UC campus to finish their degree. As you may know, President Napolitano and as Vice Chancellor Walker said, when she became very actively involved in promoting the transfer function within UC and ensuring that our commitments through the master plan were met. We're working on getting the 2-to-1 ratio right and making great progress. And she also started a effort with our faculty to create transfer pathways, which we have not had. Now, as an aside, I do want to say that I personally very much appreciate the transfer function in California. My father, my husband, my daughter, and one of my 3 sons all used it to stay home when they needed to work when they needed to, and to get a 4-year degree after that, and all to great benefit. So I'm a big promoter of it because I've seen what it does for my own family over 3 generations. So we've done a couple of things. You know that the University of California made an agreement with the legislature that we would seek to enroll in 16-17 in the coming year an additional 5,000 undergraduates who are California residents, over and above what we enrolled in 14-15. So it's a lot more than 5,000 students actually, because there was a dip this year. So we have to cover the dip and then bridge the gap. And transfer students are very much part of, for us, the picture. They come more prepared, they come more independent, they come ready for the major, and we want them. And to show how important it was, you know, the president extended the admission deadline, the application deadline, by a little more than a month. And we got 3,000 more applications from community college students. So we are looking forward to increased numbers and percentages starting this coming fall. The other thing that we have done is some combination of enable, enthuse, and push our faculty, because it is entirely a faculty decision in the University of California, to agree that they could agree on system-wide preparation expectations for majors. Last fall, the System-Wide Academic Council Chair and Vice Chair did 10 majors. I'm sure you've heard about them. The president was enormously pleased, big announcement. This fall, the next chair and vice chair did 11 more. They will be announced tomorrow. You're getting a little preview. I left with Pam a sheet that says what they are and shows you. The website will be up tomorrow. So we now have 21 of the most popular, where every campus that offers the major agrees what constitutes preparation for that major, so that a community college student will come in as ready as a native freshman for the major. And the choices were made based on what we do for our native freshmen, but they were then all each compared to what the CSU transfer pathway is, and all of our materials relate our choices to those, and in general, they're very similar. They're not that different. So students can, by and large, community college students, prepare once. Sometimes they have to do 1 or 2 more courses, or they have to do the calculus version of physics versus the trig version of physics, but mostly it's the same rather than different. And we're very, very pleased by that. The faculty did their work. The legislature the year before all said there's no way you'll ever get your faculty to do that. And in fact, it's been tried before and didn't work, but it worked. Associate Vice President Handel's unit did a lot of the staff work for them. And his unit is the one that will do all the work now, that makes it work, that implements it within our campuses and with all the CSU, the community colleges. Let's see, I had the pleasure last spring, I think, of having the first meeting that brought together the faculty, the administrative leadership, the staff for UC, community college system, and the CSU, talk about what we were doing. We got, UC got a lot of good advice from CSU and the community colleges, a lot of good hookups. And then we started with all the counselor conferences, giving everybody the information. And one of the things that's wonderful about this plan is that it will greatly increase the capacity for students at the community colleges to know what's available to them, for the advisors to be well-informed. We'll provide materials, but you have to talk to them also. They need to get informed. To put people on the community colleges who are willing and able, talk to students. I'm pretty confident they're not only going to talk about UC, they're going to talk about CSU, but they'll be talking with the students, and students will know what their options are. We also have a great website that I insisted had to use everyday language rather than the elaborated jargon that we use when we're talking to each other. And it's a quite good website. It shows very well what is available, what's expected, how it compares to the CSU, where you can find it, which campuses have the major. And we have an interesting phenomenon where the campuses now look at the 21 that we have and they go, oh, wait, you know that biology major, the requirements that everybody agreed on? Those requirements would be good for, and then they tick off, one campus ticked off another 9 majors that are also life science majors, where the same preparation will work for that too. So that's our next step. That's just starting, and that was a volunteered step. What was I going to say about the other things that we need to do? So communication is a really big thing. The professional development is. And then when President Napolitano started the transfer initiative, she and the chancellors were very interested in expanding the community colleges we work with. The material you have notes that that almost all of our students come from less than 20% of the community colleges, and we need to expand that. And the president herself has been doing a lot of work to do that, visiting various places. At the same time, the proposed activities here will do more of that, where the community college districts will bid and you'll choose what you're going to do, but they will be the ones who are not now providing as many students as we could want. So that's a general about what we're doing, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you very much.
Wait, before I stop, I'm sorry. I do want to acknowledge Chancellor Harris, because he has been, for us also, the most wonderful of leaders. Things that he's done for the community college are things also that are good for us, but he's also worked for all parts of public higher education in California and been a great ally and a great colleague for us, and a wonderful person to know. Thank you very much also.
Thank you very much.
So this contract agreement is, we propose to enter into a contract with the Regents of the University of California for $2.6 million from year June 2016 through February 2018. And these funding sources will be from the Student Services and Success Program and Student Equity Funds initiatives. This is a non-competitive contract due to the contractor being a higher education entity as well. And we'll, again, go over the 4 areas.
We have them in
Okay.
our, we have them in
Okay.
our binder. We don't need to go over the 4 areas again, though. Thank you very much on that. So we have an action item recommended, a contract for the Board of Governors to enter in with the Regents and the University of California. Before we act on that, is there a member of the public that wishes to address the board?
We have one speaker card, Lynette Niaga.
This time I'm wearing my faculty.
Yeah,
Closer to you?
Yeah,
Closer
we
to you?
can hear you.
Like
Go ahead.
that?
Go ahead.
Okay. This time I'm speaking as a faculty member because my students, I'm so pleased to hear this because my students are really scared of trying to transfer to the UC. And when I talk to them about it, they say, well, I just think it's too hard for me. I can't make it at a UC. And so I'll just tell you what I tell them. There are two things you need to know to succeed at a UC. And forgive me, this sounds really simplistic, but it's true. Number one, do your homework. Number two, weekends are for studying. So I'm very supportive of this effort. I am really pleased because I know so many of my students, I've recommended that they apply to any of the UCs based on what their majors are, and something that encourages them and informs our faculty and our counselors in the faculty about the importance of opening this opportunity is really, really hopeful. And I have personal attachment to this because my undergraduate degree was from UC Berkeley in linguistics, and my PhD is from UCLA, also in linguistics. So I'm a real UC fan as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we take a motion, are there any questions? Member Belinsky.
I'd like to ask, and if folks could pull the mics closer because I'm not hearing everything that's being said. I'd like to ask a number of informational kinds of questions because I'm really not as up to date as I'd like to be about this Pathways project. Number one, is this information in assist.org yet, or is it there?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Is it?
Well, assist.org is a mechanism to show how courses transfer and whether the pathways would get some kind of attention in assist.org so that as students and faculty use assist.org, that might happen. And another question that I have, because you can go on the website and see the individual types of courses, but will those ever get matched to the exact courses at the 9 campuses so that while it might say quantitative reasoning, I'm making it up, but it would actually say the specific course at the different universities so that you've got real clear information, which then you could then go back to assist.org and do this kind of articulation.
Yes, the answer to both your questions is yes. That is what is in process now, is ensuring that every one of those courses that's identified for every one of the majors can be found either on every community college or in the district or in a radius of 5 or 10 miles, so it could be in another district even.
Okay, and it would
so
be helpful.
That's going on. And also, the faculty, again, are deliberating right now on assigning, using the Common Course numbering system for the courses that will match up also.
And the Common Course numbering system is?
Our CID process.
Okay.
The course identification?
Course identification.
CID?
Yes.
CID.
Yes.
Okay, well, that needs to be, in some sense, related to the articulation officers a little bit better so that there's a greater idea of how that all is going to work. Have the summer, like boot camp, 1-week summer programs, the STEM program and all that, has that started yet?
None of this will start until after
The
we
money's
get this
there.
contract in place, but the conversations are going on.
And how will that get widely communicated? Because, I mean, it's one thing to say you've got this group of faculty that you're talking with, but that's not spreading the information wide and across the system. So just to say that, because I would advocate also for things like webinars, not only just in person, because some people can't get to all those things, but they can turn on their computer and they can register for a webinar. It also says that there's going to be 10 community colleges and 10 California areas involved, as well as full-time UC recruitment professionals. When that happens, how will we get that information?
Well, we'll make sure you get all that information out through our Student Success Program and Student Services Program. I think here are the 4 pieces that we believe collectively last year we could achieve. Now we've got to put our collective heads together to determine how we're going to achieve it. And I think you're going to see a great deal of information coming out, both from community colleges and from UCOP in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and just to say it again, communication is everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've got Member Sumner, Member Epstein, Member Avalos, and Member Shaw.
I just wanted to say I'm really excited about this because I've got actually one of my veterans called me and he got all excited. He's gotten accepted. He just found out he's going to PCC. He's now going to get his associate degree. He didn't expect to get that, and he's got a therapy dog. The therapy dog is going to walk, and he's going to Cal State LA, and he just like is so pumped up that this was a person that came in and 180. You know, it's like sort of like San Francisco to where we are today with the whole accreditation, that just that 180 flip of just to see how the system works, and it can be there to support. So I'm just really excited about this, and thank you for all your hard work. And I'm excited to go to his graduation, both of them, and see the dog walk with him.
Very good. Good.
Member Epstein?
I think this sounds like a great program. I guess the piece I don't understand is it appears to me that 3 of these 4 elements are being performed by community college personnel, and I'm not sure why the UC is the fiscal agent when it's most of the money is going back to the colleges. Could you explain that?
As I understand the conversations that took place the last year was how the community college faculty members through counseling could understand more what was happening at the University of California. Often we just don't have that capacity to know how to help our students get into the University of California system. And so we're going to develop a more robust conversation, and our community college counselors see our students more. But they have to know the information and the professional development that's going to go on and the interaction between the university and the community college. So yes, we will probably provide a significant amount of the information to our students when we see them on a regular basis. But we're going to have this more robust conversation going on with the University of California. So it's not like just lost. You know, that in the past, if you didn't have a UC advisor or an outreach person on your campus, often a community college counselor wouldn't know all the various nuances it took to get into the system. So now we're going to sort of triple up our efforts in trying to help our faculty and counseling faculty know all the components of how to get in, but also maybe develop a better communication with each other in that regard.
Member Avalos?
Thank you. This is an amazing program, right? Anytime you offer summer bridge to a certain student population, it's really meaningful, and I appreciate that. I'm actually a UC grad myself, went to Berkeley. One of the things that I want to try to understand in this approach and this strategy is when we look at transfers or we look at student acceptance into UC, and specifically when it comes to Latino acceptance into UC, we're overpopulated in UCR and UC Merced. You know, when I look at the data, we have 49% of UC Merced are Latino students, undergraduate students. At UC Berkeley, we're only 13%. There's a huge difference. So if we're talking about pathways, I want to make sure we go to the crown jewel, right? I want to make sure we go to Berkeley. I want to make sure we're at UCLA. Because to me, you know, in a certain way, what we're saying is, yeah, we're getting you in, but you're at UCR, which represents 29, 30% but you're not at Berkeley, and you're not UCLA. So help me understand that, right? Because, again, it's great to transfer, but we're only transferred, or get accepted or transfer, but we're only transferring to the schools that are, at a different level relative to, the world-renowned schools. So I really want to think about that as well.
Thank you for the comment. That's accurate, and it is something that the campuses and the president and I are aware of and working on. And the selection of other community colleges to work with is also seen as an avenue for increasing the numbers of underrepresented minority students who are well prepared to transfer and are interested in transferring to UC. So that is one of the strategies. We have a lot of work to do.
So I'd like to introduce to you Javier Gonzalez. He is staff in our legal division who will be transferring to the University of California at Davis next year after this math class finishes. I wanted him to meet someone from the UC so he knew what to do, and he's going to just give you a quick story how he did it.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Thank you. Congratulations, Chancellor Harris, and we're sorry to hear you go. I've heard many great things about you. I've attended the Los Rios Community College District for the last 3.5 years. Some of the programs that I believe you helped implement there involved the Transferring Center, which is a great transferring center. There's also similar programs that advocate for students that are underrepresented. These students benefit from having take field trips to UC Berkeley or any of the other major UCs in the area. So that is one way that this program can help implement more students that are underrepresented to the best UCs in our state. A little bit about my story. So I've been a state employee for a little over 10 years. I've never really considered, I attended community colleges right after high school. I didn't really have a path. I didn't have any guidance. It wasn't until 10 years after that, working for leaders amongst the governor's cabinet, that I was inspired to follow some of their footsteps. When I decided to attend the Los Rios Community College District, I was under the impression that I would never get there. Some of the teachers who were minorities, such as myself, would inspire students as myself, is telling them, hey, transfer does happen. I mean, although you're just starting and you have a plan, transferring does happen. The other thing that I wanted to add is these programs that I seek guidance from. One important quote that one of the members there, a counselor, the RISE program, he told me, you don't have to get there first. You just have to know how to get there. And so I've been sticking to that. And if this contract is adopted and approved, it would help a lot of students such as myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Member Shaw, then Member Khan.
Well, during my confirmation process, I did a lot of studying, and I learned a lot. And I had, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the course of my readings, it seems as though that the vast majority of UC students now have a 4.0 or 3.9 or over. Is that correct?
It is correct.
The vast majority.
For freshman admission.
That's correct. That's all I need to know in that regard.
Yeah.
So, this I'm happy about this contract because it's going to give community college students opportunities to transfer, and I hope it will bolster your African American numbers because they are really pitiful. Yes. So it sort of gives the average student, which I was one, even though I went to UC Santa Barbara, a long time ago, and the average student an opportunity to participate in the UC system. again, in my readings, it said that, it said that I thought that most of our transfers come from 19 community colleges, but also to CSUs too. The CSU and the USC transfers come from these 19 colleges that happen to be more affluent. Santa Barbara, Santa Monica, those kind of communities. So my question is that when we look at these 10 colleges that are going to have the opportunity to participate in your program, how are we going to ensure that they come from campuses that may not have the administrative capacity to compete for this contract? You see what I'm saying? So it might be Southwest College in LA or Compton. They may not have so they may not win. So they still are sort of out of the loop. That's one question. And then how are we going to support our students once they get into UC, the UC system? Because I think, almost like the programs we have here, like Umoja, and I think it's called Puente, even when you get to the other side, you need support.
Right. So, excellent question about the various colleges and the contracts. And what we've done in some of our other programs is looked at it from a regional perspective. So we will have something soon on basic skills working with CSU and our high school partners. And we regionalized it so everything didn't center in Los Angeles because there's lots of work there, but that we might have one college working with CSU and their high school district could be in the far north, one in the Central Valley, one in Southern California. So we'll work with UC to try to do that same thing. And I think it's important to note that we don't just look at UC Merced and UC Riverside, that we really, those are very good points, that we'll try to regionalize it and make sure we have a little, we haven't signed the contract yet, so we have some elbow grease in trying to change that a little bit.
But once you regionalize it, how are you going to ensure, let's say we use LA as an example, how are you going to ensure that whoever one of the 10 colleges, or let's say the one college in LA, isn't the one that has the most administrative capacity? Because some people don't compete. How are you going to ensure that?
I don't know yet,
Okay.
but I'll tell you when I figure it out.
Oh.
Okay, I'd like to add just a little bit.
Okay.
One thing is that transfer students to the UC graduate at the same rates as native freshmen. They graduate at a very high rate, and typically in about 3 years, a little bit in more than that, just 2 years. So they do very well. They do not underperform compared to freshmen. In some campuses, they outperform them. That's one. Another is that we are working so that every campus will have how we've translated the master plan 60-40 arrangement. We've translated it to, for every new undergraduate student each year, 2 should be freshmen and 1 should be a transfer on every campus.
Wonderful.
And there's a goal setting and a tremendous push and accountability to achieve that. 2 of the campuses have done that for several years. I'm a faculty member at UCLA. UCLA has done that for a long time, has a long, good record.
Great.
Others have several years. One has one, and we're expecting to push more. So then all the campuses will have more, that's one. And we also are very interested in being sure that all the students who come to us graduate and graduate in a timely way.
Very
and
good.
while we have high graduation rates, which we're very proud of, and low-income students with a little bit more time than non-low-income students graduate at the same rate, we want to be sure that they all do. And we have very active programs that are for underrepresented minority students, students who have various affinities, and just students who need help. That are there, and an increasing number of programs to identify early the kids who are going to need more help. Because in the end, our graduation rate has a ceiling which is created by dropouts. The students we lose, because they count from when they first enter. So if you lose them, you can never go higher than that. Besides which, if they're eligible, that means they can do it. So we just have to help them.
Thank you.
So there's a lot there.
Member Khan, then Member Haynes, then Member Burdick.
So my comments are more recommendations about how to address items number 2 and 3 mainly. So for your summer bridge program, I think you should really focus on getting buy-in from your districts that you'll be working with. And a good way to do this for the summer bridge program is introduce students into their other counterparts that are also students at UCs. So there are transfer departments, pseudo departments, created by the associated students at UCLA and UC Berkeley, where they specifically specialize in working with transfer students, either as mentors or students that can help them work their way through getting acquainted with campus. So if you can offer some sort of incentive to get them involved in summer bridge programs, that really defeats one of the major issues, which is you come to a new campus as a transfer student and you have no one to identify with. You may be getting the best of support services from faculty and staff, but ultimately until you can see your own kind out in the fray, it really is a difficult cause. The other thing I wanted to touch upon is that when you're working through item 3, which is the regional academic advising partnerships, this is a really good initiative, but you need to work with the associated students at your local community colleges to help advertise these services, because a common issue that I've seen across the state, no matter what college campus you go to, is that they're, again, great support services, but they're not being accessed. So if you can get the students to say, look, these are really, really valuable tools that you can get a hold of, you just need to come at it from the perspective that students are the ones who are pushing it, it'll definitely have a bigger buy-in and better payoff altogether. So those are the 2 big things I'd push for. I just wanted to also add that I do share a similar concern to Member Shaw about the exposure that all 10 campuses within, or however large the region is, whether or not they'll be able to get full exposure from simply one UC full-time representative. I'm thinking of LA9, for example. Those are 9 different community college districts, and really the top performing ones in the area are Pasadena and Santa Monica, and they're outside of LA9 altogether. So there has to be a lot of attention paid to how you're going to be able to facilitate that exchange to make sure that that representative is getting to all those campuses. But this is amazing. I mean, my favorite item on the agenda.
Okay. Member Haynes?
First, I'd like to commend you and UC to get faculty to faculty where there is a clear pathway relative to curriculum is just really critical. And then to have, at the end of that, an application process that allows for the consideration of more than one campus because of the work that you've done. And I, too, want to also support what Board Member Khan and Board Member Shaw said relative to the real challenges of making certain that those historically underrepresented students across the state, but in particular, especially in large metropolitan areas, just don't see themselves as transferring to UC. And so from my vantage point, I was one of those students going to Santa Monica and then transferring to UCLA. And if not by the virtue of faculty and a really great counselor who I don't even remember who she was, who made certain that the courses that I took were transferable, because so many of our students, they are flying blind as to what courses to take and may opt to go to one, but then accept at another, and those courses are not quite the same. And so I want to commend you on that. The point, there's another point that I want to make, and that is for those students who are transferring who are single, they're under 25, and they can make a transfer to any UCs, that's fabulous. But for those students who are older, students who are working and can't leave the job, or who have family, so there needs to be some consideration that when they apply to a particular campus, that they will be considered strongly around that campus for any kind of other issues that that are presented to them. And then finally, there's mention of the grade point average for a freshman, and some clarity for transfer students on what that grade point average would be for transfer students would be helpful. That seems to be a moving target, depending on campus, depending on, I think it would be helpful so that they can aspire and then meet those expectations.
Thank you. I do know that several of our college presidents and a conversation with President Napolitano some months ago said exactly that. What are you going to do for the transfer students who are older? And she took that to heart and started looking at conversations. And I think even UC San Diego has a transfer dorm now, so that specifically just for transfer students. So they're looking at ways to do this work.
Member Burdick?
Thank you. It's an amazing program, and I look forward to talking it up with my students. This is terrific. I do have one concern, and that is that students can get on this pathway and run into a brick wall because we are not guaranteeing transfer the way we do with an ADT or with a TAG program. I would hate to see people prepare, get a very high GPA, and then not be able to move forward.
That is certainly a point to worry about. We do still have the TAG program for many of the campuses where the student, as you know, so you're nodding, you know what it is. There was a lot of debate among the faculty about guarantees and requirements. And a large number of them did not want a guarantee, but not for the reason you might imagine. They said, well, you know, sometimes we look at students and they look really good and they haven't actually done everything that we might otherwise say was required, and we want to take them, and we don't want there to be a barrier set up by saying we have requirements. So they didn't want to many of them didn't want to say we have requirements, which are like necessary in order to say you can be admitted, because they wanted greater flexibility to look at the whole student, what the student had done, and admit students who hadn't quite finished everything, but where they believe they do very well, and they come to UC or the campus like they finish. So that is how we left it. But there was a lot of discussion about it for exactly the reasons that you raised.
Well, thank you. To move on then, I wanted to invite Member Khan. Would you like to make the motion to enter into the contract? Okay. And a second by Member Hawkins. Any further discussion on the contract as moved by Member Khan and seconded by Member Hawkins? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Well, thank you very much. We're looking forward to embarking on this partnership and continuing a very strong partnership. Yeah. We're going to modify the agenda a little bit. We are going to next move on to the item on enrollment at Lake Tahoe Community College. Then we will go on to the item on 3.3 inmate reentry education, and we will table the rest of the material items until our meeting tomorrow. So 2.9 California-Nevada Interstate Attendance Agreement.
Thank you, President Baum, members of the board. I'm going to turn this over to first Vince Stewart to introduce his colleagues, and then a member of our legal staff, Jake's going to take you through this item. Vince?
Thank you, Chancellor. And actually, I'm going to kind of give you a quick synopsis, and then Jake will be on hand for questions. And of course, we're joined by Dr. Kindred Murillo, who is the superintendent president of the Lake Tahoe Community College District. So President Baum, Vice President Estolano, members of the board, Chancellor Harris. So this is item 2.9, which is on page 95 of your agenda, and it's the consideration of the California-Nevada Interstate Attendance Agreement. As the board may recall from the January meeting, Board Member Avalos asked about the implementation of Senate Bill 605, which was the legislation enacted last year to authorize an interstate attendance agreement between the Board of Governors of the California Community Colleges and the Board of Regents of the Nevada System of Higher Education. As noted in your agenda, this agreement would be specific to the Lake Tahoe Community College District and Western Nevada College. In January, Member Avalos asked if the Chancellor's Office could accelerate the implementation of the agreement and bring it to the Board of Governors as an action item in March, which we have been able to do. So today, we are asking the board to approve the agreement. Upon doing so, the Nevada Board of Regents will convene a special meeting in April, so the agreement can be in place in time to begin enrolling students in fall of 2016. So again, Deputy Legal Counsel Jake Knapp is here to answer any technical questions you might have about the agreement, and I know that Dr. Murillo would like to make a few brief comments in support of the agreement as well.
I was just waiting for questions. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this today. I brought with me Roberta Mason, who is a 40-year board member. She was on the board for 40 years. She retired a couple years ago. And she walked the halls with me in both legislatures, in Nevada and in California. And so this is a legacy day for us. We are here to urge you to support this agreement. And we're here to make sure that we acknowledge the really tremendous support we received from the Chancellor's Office. Bryce Harris has provided leadership in a way that I think has taught many of us superintendent presidents what access really means. When I go to sleep at night, I think student access and success. And this is what this agreement is all about. It's about serving the underserved students in Lake Tahoe. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you were able to look past the myth of Tahoe being a wealthy area. When I first started walking the floors here in California, I heard about the wealthy Tahoe students. We serve in our community college the underserved, underseen students that service the hospitality industry, that service the huge recreation in that area. And so I so appreciate the fact that Vince Stewart stood by us and helped us educate the legislature. And I really appreciate Twee Nugent, who was at the Community College League of California and standing behind us. And Jacob Knapp, who came and finally got to help us finalize this agreement. For this, we are very grateful. This is important. My college sits 3 miles from the Nevada border. And to deny access to students that work in our community is just bugged the heck out of all of us ever since the Nevada legislature, well, it was actually the Board of Regents, got rid of the Good Neighbor policy in 2011. So we urge you to support this agreement. Our biggest hope is this will lay the groundwork for future border college agreements to ensure student access throughout any state in the United States. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address the board on this item?
I don't have any speaker cards.
I'll entertain a motion on the recommended, okay, a motion by Member Belinsky, and a second by Member Sumner. Discussion, Member Avalos?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for presenting, and thank you, Vince and your team and the staff of the Community College Chancellor's Office that moved so fast on this, because, we talked about it last session, and there was an urgency in a sense that I think it was a timing issue. If we were to miss this approval, which will happen today, hopefully, then I think students would have missed out the entire year. So to me, it's like, I'm so glad we're moving nimbly, fast, and really impacting lives, and that's what it's all about, right? So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much. We had the privilege as a board member of meeting the trustee. The Board of Governors met at Lake Tahoe Community College District in 2010, and we had the opportunity to meet one of the great leaders of our system, a 40-year trustee who's devoted much of her effort. So, and I had the privilege of working with Dr. Murillo for many years at Pasadena City College when she was in the leadership, and so The district's in great hands. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, and go straighten out those guys in Nevada for us now and make sure you deliver. Okay, we're moving on to item 3.3. It's an information item on inmate and reentry education. I turn it over to the Chancellor.
Thank you, President Baum, members of the board. I'm going to pitch this to Pam and BJ. This is an exciting new program that really has garnered a lot of inertia and momentum in the system, and it's a pleasure to introduce Vice Chancellor Walker to give you an update. Pam?
Okay. President Baum, Vice President Stolano, board members, and Chancellor Harris. This item provides the Board of Governors with our update on inmate education, our inmate education pilot program. We call it Inmate and Reentry Education. Under Senate Bill 1391, authored by Senator Hancock, it directed the California community colleges to work with an interagency agreement with the California Department of Corrections and Rehab to create a pilot program to offer courses to incarcerated students for the purpose of expanding access to community college courses, leading to degrees and certificates, and enhanced workforce. We were delighted to be able to bring Dr. B.J. Snowden on to work on this project as the Director of Inmate and Reentry Education in this grant, and he and Board Member Butnick have linked arms and been very successful in this endeavor, and I'd like BJ to give you the information update.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to provide the update. Just as in general, there was a report that was, or an update that was submitted about this project, but to give you a little bit more of a personal approach, there are currently 16 of our 35 state prisons that are offering face-to-face courses inside. And that is a huge advantage to the students who are looking to further their education and better their lives and reduce their chances of going back into the system once they are paroled. We have over 1,100 students who are taking face-to-face classes as of this semester. We have developed a very strong partnership with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We are encouraging other colleges beyond our 4 pilot programs to investigate whether or not it is in their interests to partner with local correctional institutions and develop programs that are not only face-to-face, but also in correspondence if necessary, due to distance or different location issues. The program has been well received throughout the state by the colleges and by our partners in CDCR. We've also been partnering with the Opportunity Institute, a nonprofit organization out of Berkeley, California, and hopefully a number of our community colleges will be awarded grants to create additional pilot programs in the very near future. They're currently being evaluated right now, and as soon as there's an update, we will definitely be letting the board know. In total, there are over 8,000 students in the system, California community colleges, that are right now incarcerated. Again, by allowing us to go in and train instructors and train staff to work with these student populations, we are providing an opportunity unlike anything that they have had in the last 20 to 30 years. So with that being said, we are excited about the project. We are excited about the growth of opportunity for our colleges and for those students. And we are hopeful that our efforts with the community colleges and the Department of Corrections will yield some extremely positive results that will eventually hopefully lead to not only the attainment of degrees while incarcerated, but the eventual transfer from community colleges to other four-year institutions.
Let's open it up for questions.
Absolutely.
Member Shaw?
Just a suggestion, we'd like to have an LA location. I notice there's nothing here in LA.
Well, I
We
didn't
need
name
it.
I didn't name the colleges, which is thank you for that comment. So our 4 pilot programs are currently at Antelope Valley College, Chaffey College, Folsom Lake College, and Lassen Community College. And you're right, LA is very interested. We are in talks with your chancellor. Yes.
Member Budnick.
So I just wanted to share a story about the conference that you put together. it literally was the first time you had a conference in Sacramento where you had 100 people that are principals of schools inside prisons, so that are CDCR employees, and you had 100 presidents, VP of academics, whoever came from 100 different colleges, all in the same room together, at tables together, which in the history of the world, or at least in the history of California, has never happened, which is insane. So these California correctional officials and principals had never sat down in a room with community college people, ever. So this is the first conference of its kind that these folks put together. But one of the coolest things is that Bakersfield College has a partnership with Kern Valley State Prison in Delano, her neck of the woods. And everyone else brought their academic folks, and they brought their academic folks, but they also brought a lieutenant and a correctional officer because they believed that the culture of the prison needs to change as well as the educational advancement. And these, literally, they were sending me messages earlier today, this lieutenant and this officer's life they said that they thought their job for the last 15 years was simply just to keep a secure prison and make sure people don't escape, and they came in and clocked out every day, thinking that was it. And in a 2-day conference, being around all the community college folks, they realized that their job is so much more, and now they said they finally are excited to go to work every day because they participate as a correctional officer and a lieutenant as an advocate for the Bakersfield College program. So you even saw the college program not only change the lives of the inmates that are there, but also change the life of a CO and a lieutenant who never would have any intersection with this whatsoever. So I thought that was worth sharing. And RAND put out a study, and they said that anybody that takes part in prison in a higher education program has a 43% less likely chance of being arrested within the first 3 years of release. So not only is it great to educate them and get them on a path onto a community college campus, but our entire community is safer because of it, and we're saving tons of money. One thing I'd like to ask BJ is if you could provide, I see since this was printed, it said 12 colleges doing face-to-face, now it's 16. You said 1,000 inmates here, you're saying 1,100.
Yeah.
It would be great to know who the other 19 colleges who aren't doing it are, and if there's a tracker of some sort that has all the prisons, all the contacts, where the conversations are with all of those prisons, and Brant may know that as well. It would be great to get a document that just showed us where everything's at. So we know Bakersfield has it and Antelope Valley has it, but these prisons don't have it.
We're actually in the process of developing that right now with CDCR.
Great.
So actually, we figured out a way to get that information shipped to us on a monthly basis and haven't done it for the next cycle coming up. My updated numbers are from that.
Great.
So we will get updated numbers from CDCR every month of where students are, what prisons have classes. We'll even get down to the section numbers, how many sections of courses are being offered.
That's great. Do you mind sharing it with me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Member Khan?
So it's maybe too early to even be discussing this, but I think also after these students get out of prison, what are their employment opportunities looking like, and possibly finding a way to track their genesis out of prison. Like recidivism is a huge issue, but seeing how we fight back against that through either continuing through education or getting employed, those are huge obstacles, and I think they're worth addressing through this program. But great work.
Absolutely, thank you. One more point to add, we are, along with government relations, working very hard with Senator Hancock's office, and we're even looking at legislation coming down that will allow prison guards to take classes while they are also at work or behind the wall. So the same thing for 1391 that allowed us to teach on the inside and close courses, basically, we're looking at that for security officers as well. Again, going to Board Member Butnick's point of changing the culture of correctional institutions. So that is something that is also down the road.
Member Belinsky?
Just curious informationally, 2 questions. What kind of majors are being offered? Because it isn't detailed here. I'd be just curious, like what is being offered that then the student can use after they come back into the community, or however you say that appropriately? And are there any kind of student services efforts provided to those students also? Because again, that's not commented on, and I'm curious since student services is something important to me.
I wish I would have just written that out for you. It was a perfect set of questions. So the majors were decided upon by coordination through the Department of Corrections and through the local colleges. We're offering business in all 4 of our pilot programs, in addition to college success courses, and we have a plan for general education courses, specifically those that will help them beyond just the subject matter. So for example, Intro to Public Speaking is going to be that Area A3 course, because that not only helps them with GE, but it also helps them with their parole hearings and communication, things like that. And your follow-up question with student services is absolutely. For the face-to-face and for the correspondence, we're doing a full array of orientation, counseling, not the SSSP, but the way to set up their education plans. All of that is being done in person most times, and that's one of the things we're training faculty and staff how to do.
Member Avalos?
Yeah, thank you for this. This is really impactful. I think, the more I learn about young men of color and the issues around, the whole initiatives that's happening at the federal level and the state level, I look at the data and it says 1 in 3 African-American boys or men will go to prison, 1 out of 3. And Latinos is 1 out of 6. So when you look at the male population in the state of California in prisons, it's 40% Hispanic Latino, 30% African-American. And so what we're doing here is really an impactful change for not only for our community, but for overall for California. And so I really appreciate what you're doing. I think this is impactful from an equity perspective, but also from a financial perspective as well. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well,
okay. One last point I'll make is that in discussion with CCC, we recognize that technology is a huge barrier with learning, in addition to not only access and research, but the real-world skill of working in an online environment. So we are working, again, with CDCR on trying to enhance their capacity for technology and using our educational needs as sort of that spark plug. So we really are providing a huge amount of change through CDCR by being able to teach on the inside.
I'd like to say one thing in response to that. They resisted ever letting an inmate touch a computer for the last 100 years. All it took was a $200,000 grant from the California Endowment for them to give up that policy and be like, okay, we'll try it. And they did it at one prison on one yard where there's actually online college courses happening, and they created a firewall and created a protective environment for inmates to go online where they couldn't go on Facebook and everything else. And it's worked incredibly well. All it takes is a lot of pushing, and that system just continuously needs pushing, so don't let up on them, because they've hired new people, things are moving in the right direction. And I think it's worth noting, Arnaldo, that the first ever coding program in California prison started at San Quentin a few years ago, and now they've moved it to Ironwood in the middle of the desert in Blythe, California, and they just started last week a full coding program inside a California prison, and they don't even have access to the internet. So they're doing it in a really kind of funky, cool way. So progress is being made. BJ, Pam, you guys are great. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. We're going to try, Vice Chancellor Walker, to wrap our action agenda before 5 o'clock. And
You're going to move quick, Pam.
So we're on item 2.7 on the regulations authorizing the establishment of the baccalaureate degree pilot program handbook. And we have we have the entire handbook in our binder, so.
Thank you. President Baum, Vice President Estelano, board members, and Chancellor Harris. At the last BOG meeting, we initiated the conversations with you on the new regulations that would authorize the establishment of the baccalaureate degree pilot program handbook. This is the second reading of that as we prepare and maintain the handbook for the requirements of this program. And this handbook is organic. It's in motion. About 12 or 15 of our college administrators and faculty were in Chicago this week, and they're at the National Baccalaureate Degree Meeting, and they were texting me on Saturday night to tell me things we had forgotten or we need to keep playing with. So this is an organic opportunity, but what I am presenting you today is the regulation for the baccalaureate degree pilot program handbook, and I could not do this without calling out in support of Board Member Belinsky, who has edited every piece with us on this. Thank you very much, Joseph, for that. So my recommendation is the proposed regulations are presented to you for approval and adoption, and we will make this document continually organic.
Move approval.
Right. I was going to let Member Belansky move approval, but go ahead. We got a motion and a second, Estelano and Reed. Member Belansky.
I don't want to say much, so to speak. I'd like to ask a favor so that I don't sit here and read a whole list of names, but I did ask who the key people were in putting the handbook together, and there are 12 names, and I'd like to know if I could give it to the clerk and have it put into the minutes.
Absolutely.
To say thank you to these folks.
We will do that.
Absolutely. Since this is a second reading, so we did have a presentation on this at a previous board meeting. Are there any further questions or?
No speaker cards.
Speaker cards. Did you have a point, Mr. Chancellor? Okay, all those in favor of adopting the resolution and in turn the handbook, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it carries.
I just want you to know at the CEO meeting, more than 30 colleges asked when the red-shirt colleges could start their baccalaureate degrees, so be prepared.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Item 2.8, the minimum quals for DSPS programs. Okay. Chancellor, and so while we're getting ready, there's already a motion for that, Member Belinsky, and a second by Member Hawkins. But go ahead.
President Baum, members of the board, this is an item on min-quals for disabled students, and the item is in your packet. Pam, help me behind.
85.
Page 85. Thank you very much. And with that, we will, I'll let Pam answer any questions, but we will recommend that the Board of Governors adopt the resolution that is found beginning on page, I should have this in front of me.
It's 80. I have the language on 87.
Yes, on page 87. Thank you.
And so the recommended modifications to the language are very clear. Are there any questions from members of the board about the recommended modifications?
I have a question now.
Okay, we will then go to a vote. Are there no speaker cards? So we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the recommendation to adopt the resolution and then the new language, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it carries. Member Belinsky.
I want to ask again the question that I asked last time, or be directed to someone that I can talk to. But there are a series of minimum qual areas that do not occur in the minimum qual handbook other than they're referenced there. They're still in Title V in a very difficult way then to actually update the minimum quals. These minimum quals for DSPNS have not been updated since 1991 when they were placed into Title V. Most faculty and administrators see Title V as very difficult to change from their perspective. And there are things in the back like, in addition to DSPNS, learning assistants, learning skills coordinators, tutoring coordinators, work experience instructors and coordinators, and there's extra areas. And so I do want to raise the question again of what would it take to consider these of equal value to things like anthropology, sociology, mathematics, English, and on, that they get the same attention in the same way and not put back in the back, and then they're only in Title V, and nobody knows what to do with them because they're just not a part of the whole mix.
Chancellor?
Yeah, I think one of the things that this process has uncovered for us is the exact problem you're talking about, Member Belansky. And I think what we'll intend to do is come back to the board, if not in July and September, with a better analysis of how to answer your question. It is not right that we would have these only updated every 15 years, and yet we have to figure out a way to get our arms around them. So we will come back in July, Pam, or September?
We could do that in July. We could do it in July.
Thank you.
I have been joined by Dean Rhonda Moore, who it was running back and forth as well. So she is the one that oversees DSPS, so if you have any additional questions, she's here to help.
Okay, Member Belansky?
Just one other comment. I think as trying to find a way to do that, I'm hoping that folks will work with the leadership at the Academic Senate, because they're the folks that do the 2-year review on all disciplines, and these are not in that review.
Absolutely.
And I see nodding from our leadership of the Academic Senate, and I feel that there's also concurrence from the Board of Governors on that point as well. Okay, then with that, we will adjourn until 9 a.m. tomorrow. So, or we're not adjourning, but we're recessing till 9 a.m. tomorrow. So Christine.